evening, everybody. How are you? Thank you very much for being here. I really appreciate the audience and everybody watching. Thank you. It's great to see you on a Sunday night and pretty decent turnout. I see the chat's active already. Even though we've got some pretty big heavyweights that we're streaming against, we still have our loyalists here keeping us company. And it's great to see you and great to have you. So tonight we're going to be discussing Testament. It's a small campaign in CG, and the author Chimera, I believe he did the art as well, was the artistic talent behind this product. And we'll do a little bit of a dive. It's 60 pages, so there should be plenty to talk about, and we'll hope you stick around for that and enjoy it. But until then, I do want to just say hi to the chat quickly, if it's okay. Okay. Somebody is demanding to come in, so.
No, he did not do the art, moron. Okay, now you can put me in the back again.
Okay, so he did not do the art, and I am a moron. So all of those things have now been confirmed. So first, let's say hello to the chat. We have Jack Stafford shouting out, "Ahoy, ninjas! Ahoy back, Jack! And thanks for being here. It's awesome that you made it. So thank you." James Hayes, who I haven't seen in a little while, thanks for being here. He says, "Hey, well read, Twitless, Shine, and all of you in chat. I hope that you're having a great night." So far, it's pretty good. I'm a little tired. Did a bunch of stuff today with the family, so a little bit of outdoor activity, and went to the movies. Saw Batman again. I have like a million thoughts about that movie now after seeing it so often, but I'm sure nobody wants to hear about that. They want to talk about indie comics, and that's what we're here to do. We also have Wilberforce Wooster reminding us that I need to F off, which is sound advice, clearly. I have thought about rebranding the show back to that because it was kind of fun back then. I mean, I'm trying to drop the link a lot more now than I used to. But I remember those days, and it was pretty lively, and we get pretty raucous. James Hayes also points out that I've already effed off, and that's the reason why I'm here. Well, I mean, both of those things can be true, so there's a point there. Linkovich always likes to point out that this is gay disco. Kind of like emo gay, more. I don't know. I don't get the disco thing. I don't know. Twitless is here. Yay. And he says, Giuliano de Silva did the art. Well, that's very good to know, and thank you for that confirmation. So I guess we'll have something to talk about in regards to the art, since it is a different artist. Something to talk about with regards to the writing, and it seems like Chimera is the one who put this book out. It's his production company, so it'll be interesting to see what exactly the final product turns out to be. With that, we'll bring on the people who are here to remind all of us that I'm an idiot. So please welcome Sunbar.
I already did that.
Oh, okay. And we have then, of course, Twitless.
What's up?
Sup. So, how's your evening going, gentlemen? As awful as mine?
Even worse, we're here.
Well, we can share in each other's misery then.
Isn't that what comics is all about? Just spreading the misery around.
That's what CG is. We find love in each other's misery.
You have to be pretty miserable to like comics, and you have to be even more miserable to make them. So I can attest to this.
Well, I was thinking that like the world sucks, comics suck, our favorite hobbies are escapism. So let's have a club where we can all talk about that and commiserate together. So that's pretty much what CG is. It's a misery cope club at this point. Speaking of misery and coping, we have comments from the last stream. So
you mean one comment by Jack Stafford? Okay.
Damn it, Twitless.
Okay, sorry.
I'd have to poo-poo on my party.
Sorry.
Trying to cheer myself up here. So we've got Jack Stafford, who's amazing. Thank you so much for your consistency. I appreciate you always dropping a comment and being engaged as you are. Last time we talked about Charlie's London, and we had Charlie on for an interview, which was great fun. So actually, you can see this ratio here, 31-0. How do you like that, Sunbar? Yeah.
I bet those were just Charlie fans and she was interesting to them.
But there were no detractors, so
well, I mean, of course not. Testify has to rest on Sunday, too.
Well,
so my screen says dislikes are disabled.
You can download an extension that allows you to see them.
There's just no dislikes because no one can see them.
Yes, but nobody was inclined to.
They would have if they could have seen it. They thought it was going into a black hole.
But then you wonder, did they really dislike it, or they just want other people to think they disliked it? See,
no, they want to advertise they dislike it. They feel like it's not shown.
It's not a genuine dislike. It's like
this is getting very philosophical. How about we read Jack Stafford's comment?
It's like all the Russians voting for Putin. It's like there's no point to vote against him. You get killed. So
yeah, I'm just desperately straining for validation here. Like, come on, give me throw me a bone here, guys. But Jack Stafford says he's actually a big fan, big supporter of the project from Charlie's London, and he says, I missed this early show covering one of my favorite CG projects. Yeah, I apologize for that, Jack.
Wow, look, 1,400 people watching Ethan. They made a good choice.
Okay.
They could all be here, and yet.
Wiggle, go watch Ethan. I'm sure it's better than this.
No, it's not. I believe in you.
What is this? This is a pity party, and we all pity ourselves, and we're partying over it.
I've had enough of the pity party. Let's
move the
plot ahead. Well, right?
Yeah. Okay, let's move things along. Okay, so he says, like Spirit Scar, I have very actively encouraged people to support this project. I think it's excellent art. Oh, I'm reading that awfully. I think it's excellent art, but also an important book that may encourage some new people to explore Chaplin's incredible body of work. Charlie's London herself is an amazing person and one of the best CG ladies. She is kind, funny, and definitely able to roll with the boys. Robert Downey Jr. did an incredible job in his portrayal of Chaplin, and I would encourage anyone to check it out. He was roundly praised at the time, and he definitely deserved it. Finally, I also would encourage everyone to listen to at least the famous speech from the great dictator. The whole movie is great, but if nothing else, at least watch this speech, which carries as much weight now as it did when it was filmed in 1939, maybe even more so. It's beyond inspirational and to me represents a personal ideology. It's 3 minutes that will enrich anyone's life. Thanks, guys.
I actually watched the clip. Thank you, Jack.
Yeah, it's amazing that you shared that with us. So thank you so much. Okay, so moving on. Now we have tonight's topic, which is, of course, and Wiggle says probably is. Right, so he'll probably be around Ethan's chat. Yeah, we'll see what happens there. Oh, and Dark Gift, he's joined our party. He says, what's up, peeps?
Dark Gift, Ethan is streaming.
That's going to be a thing. Speaking of things, let's talk about your avatar tonight, Sunbar. What might that be in reference to? Maybe?
Well, it's obviously CG and tennis, two great things, right?
It's quite conspicuous line art you have there. Should we study the line art?
Yeah, it's by Matt Barr. He's your boy Zach's artist on Rock and Roll Ninja.
I don't remember Matt Barr drawing any tennis rackets.
Well, it's a very rare piece of art, and I have it. So
yes, quite the collector's item, I'm sure.
Yeah, I would like the original actually, but
well, I'm sure he'll put it up for auction at some point. It's
definitely hope so. You should do it on Ethan's stream.
Yeah, it's going to be part of CG lore at some point.
I hope so.
Wiggle points out, shut up, Dark Gift. And Dark Gift points out, I like how I just approved Wiggle's comment yelling at me. Well,
just be happy you're not a mod when Cherry is really upset in chat because all you see is Cherry's comments.
Yeah, I haven't seen Cherry.
Show this, show that, show this. It's like, Cherry, can you at least write something that's not blocked by YouTube?
It's like he's trolling the people who run the channel exclusively.
I think that's his intent.
Yeah, thanks, Jerry. I haven't seen him in a million years, but speaking of a million years, we're finally going to get to talking about tonight's topic. So here we go. Testament graphic novel. The campaign is closed. Oh no. Well, show's over. And yet, if we scroll down, we find
Rob Willis art. Oh wait, that's Joe Ball's art. I recognize Joe Ball's art, but there is a Rob Willis cover.
Interesting. $9,551. So nothing to sneeze at. A success by CG's distribution of successes.
Yeah, see that 160 backers. I think that's good. That's what I wish Vestry was at. Somewhere around what Testament's making.
Well, maybe. I mean, we've talked about Vestry several times, and I'm sure the word is getting out. We'll see. He closed, though, with 7,000 backers, so picked up 2,000 more, or $7,000, picked up 2,000 more in demand. So that's not too bad. Overview. Well, I might leave the overview to the two of you. So what is the overview of Vestry? What kind of world does it immerse us into?
Wrong book.
Testament. Sorry. I said I'm tired tonight, so my apologies.
Wait, what did you call it?
He called it Vestry, which is interesting because when I was talking about Vestry, I was like listing off fantasy novels, and really this is a fantasy novel, although it might at first make you think it's like just sci-fi, but it's really fantasy, but in the future. I think that's the easiest way to describe it.
Future fantasy.
I might call it a dystopian hybrid sci-fi fantasy adventure.
Yeah, there's a little bit of Mad Max kind of things thrown in as well.
Yep.
Well, I mean, how are the sex dolls? I think that's what we're all really dying to know.
Wait, what?
Well, dystopian future fantasy. I mean, come on. Anyway.
Wait, what books have you been reading?
I think you typed that in the wrong chat window. I think you meant to type that in Ethan's chat.
Yeah. I'm only the most controversial because Testify HD is DD. Makes me sad. Yes, you've taken his mantle, and he's never heard of this book. Well,
yeah, you might have heard of SOS. That's another Chimera book. I mean, Chimera is like, he's sort of well known. I guess his claim to fame was being the replacement Nasser. I guess if you either know him or you don't, I don't know what to say.
Can't you say that about most people?
That he's the replacement Nasser?
No, that you either know them or you don't.
Well, I mean, you usually say what you should know them for, but
okay. Right.
He's a CG writer. That's what else is there to say except for looking at the books themselves.
He has a website, but it mostly directs to either purchasing, I think, through an eBay store, Testament, which is an interesting setup, or it points to the other campaign he currently has live, was it SOS?
Yeah, which is at volume 3 now.
Mm-hmm.
So I should point out SOS is a completely different story than this one. Not just that the genre is different, it's almost, I would say, a comedy book. It's got a lot of humor in it. This book takes itself pretty seriously. There's a couple of jokes, but this is pretty much straightforward kind of fantasy action type comic.
Well, and how is he the replacement Nasser? Is it because he writes, or was he on a few streams as well? Think he was kind of, direct and humorless like Nasser, I guess. In his attitude, and he's very young and a writer, I guess.
I thought Nasser had downloaded a sense of humor.
Oh,
and he currently had.
I don't know exactly why he was called. I assume it's mostly because he's a writer and he's pretty young, but I don't know.
Okay. And where would this book have been promoted for people to have seen it?
I think it might have only been. I think I only knew about this because I backed SOS, so I don't know where this was promoted. So that's probably why you haven't heard of it.
So the back covers mentions a couple people who I think promoted it. And so it
John
sounds like
Malin probably.
It's John Malin, Cecil. It might have been on the Jack Show then.
Yeah. Well, it might have. Yeah, it could have been.
Mandy Summers,
Raging Golden Eagle. Okay.
Eric Weathers, Commie Mark, Michael Bancroft. It might have gotten a Bancroft bump.
Could have been. That could have been. SOS is drawn by eBay Canales. If you like Iron Sights, I assume you're not the type that likes Iron Sights, though, Wiggle. But
Well, and this book, you mentioned that the artist, is he a known artist? Has he done any other work?
I am not aware of that. No. I assume it's who he hired to draw it, essentially.
I see. Okay. Okay, future fantasy. Well, I mean, the premise is interesting. So describe to us a little bit about this protagonist. Does he have anything unique or special about him that we should be interested about?
Many things. Depends on how spoilery you want us to get.
Super spoilery.
Okay, so he grew up with a raiding party that would like raid things, and I guess what he's doing now is collecting plasma crystals, which is what most of their plasma guns fire. And he's going back to the big city, but for some reason the king wants him, and that's why like his original raiding party was killed off many years ago because they were hunting him. So it turns out he's actually the nephew of the king. And as he's royalty, they have some connection to God, so he can essentially go into berserker mode and beat things up.
So he's a scavenger that has deity powers, and
Yes.
he's royalty.
Which he didn't know until he finds out later in the book.
I see.
So it's kind of your classic, secret heir to the throne kind of thing. So it's got that kind of basis.
But it's definitely set in a very, because it's set like 10,000 years into the future. This definitely has a very Mad Max kind of vibe, but it's very, I would almost say European themed, at least in the first one. The Ashcan ends up kind of taking things in a very different direction. So I think we're going to get a bit of a globe-trotting
Well, if you
kind of
wait,
mix
scroll back to that splash page.
Oh, this one? Sure.
Yeah, so if you look at the architecture, so you got your kind of classic Gothic structure, then you kind of got like the Space Needle futuristic, and then you got just kind of like modern day apartment buildings. So
the world's very patchwork.
it's like, yeah, everything's kind of mashed together, which is intentional, but I mean,
yeah. In this particular book, there's definitely a very strong, I would say, Germanic influence.
They got King Stefan down there. So
yeah, but the Ashcan, which is kind of I think a preview of the second chapter, it ends up taking things in a very Eastern kind of direction. So, like I said, there's this the world that's constructed, I think, has a very strong, very diverse cultural vibes depending on which kingdom I guess you're in. This particular book looks a lot like, I would say, Judge Dredd in some places and Mad Max, partially inspired. But there's a very, like I said, very strong Germanic influence. There's these references
Nordic,
to a little bit of both. You got the Odin influence kind of going on with the idea, and which kind of creates the basis for the kind of
and the
supernatural
species of that dog is a Fenrir. So
yeah, definitely Norse inspired in this aspect, but it's not restricted to only being.
I mean, it's like this picture, which I like. It's a mashup. Just look at that picture. If you could realize where each of these components is coming from, you're like, oh, this is many things mashed together.
Yeah, he's got like an Akira kind of outfit, and then this is like Victorian era dress, and this guy looks like he's from New Orleans. It's like some, I don't know.
Yeah, and then one of the major characters looks kind of like a Western style of dress with like the trench coat and this top hat kind of thing going on.
Definitely very wide brimmed hat.
Yeah, wide brimmed hat.
So this book is definitely very dystopian because of that mixture of things that don't necessarily fit together. So that fits into the world building. It's definitely a very fractured world, and people scavenging and trying to vie for power.
It's interesting. It's a bit of like an analogy for a literal form of multiculturalism, and that's also associated with a dystopian society. So
I was reminded of. Do you remember we took a look at Scrimshaw a while back?
Right. Yeah.
This was very much like Scrimshaw in a lot of ways, but Scrimshaw was very aquatic with the whole them being kind of like pirates on the seas, and so this is more motorcycle raiders in the desert in a lot of ways. but the themes of like supernatural powers and the different cultural blends, dystopian mixture with some futuristic technology, a lot of that stuff. So if you did enjoy Scrimshaw, I think that type of story, this book is right up that alley.
Yeah, but I mean, it also just has straight out magic just thrown in. So you got technology, you got magic, you got technology that might be depending on magic. That kind of
Well,
thing.
they call it magic. I'm still not entirely sure.
Well, the elf is just like pure magic, as far as I can tell. Well, she's not an elf, but
They call her a mage.
Yeah, she's the archetype of the elf, obviously.
I interpret it as potentially maybe magic, or if, but at the very beginning, the blue crystal, a lot of it ties to the blue crystals, and the blue crystals are also the source of like technological energy, but exposure to it can mutate you, which kind of gives you supernatural powers that they call magic. So either it actually is magic, or it's this sort of like sci-fi crystal stuff.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, then there's just goblins. It's like, yeah, we use goblins because the miners are turning in the mutants and their resistance to it. So.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's going to be shown to be like, oh, the goblins are people who have mutated, because like he purposely.
Well, they show us the mutants though, and the goblins are clearly different than the mutants.
Well, at this stage in time,
there's mutants.
Yeah. So the story's set in the year 10,081. So the idea is that these mutations have through this mysterious blue crystals that come from space have like warped the world for so long that. The planet is alien to what we would have experienced it in our current time. So I think there's that kind of aspect. You know, kind of like it's weird to make this comparison, but you know how like in Adventure Time, it's like supposed to be set on planet Earth, but like so far into the future that the mutations have created fantasy, essentially. I feel like something similar may be going on here, but it's not quite. It hasn't been explored in full depth yet.
I mean, I would almost take it as just a standard fantasy world, but instead of just setting it at medieval times, like, well, what happens if they just kept going and reached higher technology? Where would they be? But we don't know. We don't really know enough of the backstory to make any guesses about how this world originally was. Like, is this Earth, but it's 10,000 years in the future? Maybe?
Right, because it is called Planet Vaughn, so we don't know if it's an alien world or you know. Surprise, it's Earth.
Well, the inspirations for it are stated here in the pitch as being Mad Max and Vampire Hunter D. And yes, it's on the planet Vaughn. It's a harsh planet composed of 5 regions, each ruled by antagonistic warlords. So unlike those friendly, happy warlords that we're used to, these ones are very antagonistic. The story focuses on Carl, an orphan drifter and swordsman, not a cocksmith, who arrives to the region of Rainland on a quest for revenge. The region of Rainland is controlled by the oppressive king Albrecht. The king has started occupations in the other regions of Planet Vaughn in hopes of recovering the technology of his ancient ancestors, the old gods. So, well, you did mention that he has the powers of a deity, so clearly there's magic.
Well, I mean, I guess Twitless will say it's space rocks that are doing something. But
Twitless, are you smoking some of the space rocks there?
I wish. That's Dark Gift is the one to look up for the.
Oh yeah.
That's
the new bud. That Dark Gift has been crumbling. Amit Reynes points out, Twitless Berserk Guts told me to tell you that we will eat you.
Oh, that he will eat me.
Very erotic. That's I don't know if we need to know that though. And Twitless responds, there is no way Berserk Guts has enough brain cells left to remember who I am. LOL.
I stand by that.
Okay. Well, a little bit. So it sounds like a very deep and nuanced world that is being built here. What about a little bit more about the main character? Now, he's a wayward prince. What exactly is the peril that he faces in this story? What drives the plot forward?
Or was that your roundabout way of asking what his motivations were?
I try to avoid that word as much as possible. We do not speak that word on this channel.
Yeah, but I caught that.
No, I'm more curious actually what's driving the plot forward. I don't necessarily need to know his motivations, but what the hell does he do? That in
It's
this
driven
story.
forward because his uncle is hunting him down, and he has now found him when he returns to the city. He's completely oblivious about all this. He doesn't understand that he's important at all. So that's the motivation, and then the rebels get a hold of him, and they try to convince him. They just know that.
Well, he's motivated by revenge, because he has this traumatic experience. He doesn't understand it, but he has a traumatic experience where his clan was kind of slaughtered, and they were slaughtered because they were looking for him. He just didn't know it, and so he's motivated to kind of go and get revenge for that, and then gets caught up in the kind of plot around his lineage and so on.
He's also like, this plays about into minor events, which I guess we can talk about story beats later, but he is quite a bit of an asshole. Like, he pisses everybody off immediately once he meets them. Like, every single person he meets, he pisses them off first, and then maybe he'll talk to you like a person.
He's kind of a tool. I kind of liked that.
Yeah, I kind of like he wasn't like the goody two shoes. It was like, wow, this guy's an asshole.
Well, so it's a character trait, but then do we get any motivation for why he's that way?
Oh, it's because it's because he has had like the hardest life. He's basically abandoned, or he's an orphan.
He's an orphan, and she sold him off to raiders because he was too, like, this old lady sold him off, which you learn in the backstory, to these raiders because it's like, he's too much trouble, take him. And then these raiders get killed off, and then apparently he's been living on his own since then.
Also, he's very rugged. Does he have a softer side? Is there anything heroic or redeeming about his character?
I mean, I guess he sort of tries to save his new friends when he learns his power.
I think he has a sense of fair play and honor to an extent.
Yeah.
Although he's not above like taking cheap shots at enemies. So,
although he does seem not to kill when they're defenseless, like he'll kill people when he's fighting them, but like the guy he wants on revenge on, like he finds him and beats down his guards. It's like, I'm not going to kill you. They're going to do worse to you when they find out that you lost me again.
He's very he was very Han Solo in some respects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Han Solo, if he wasn't quite so charming, I guess.
So not necessarily a rogue.
No, definitely a rogue, but just not with the sort of roguish charm.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, thank you for all of that.
Also, he has a wolf dog.
Thing.
As a wolf dog.
And it's kind of funny, like, takes him on a infiltration mission, and they have to throw in a line. It's like, why did you bring this thing along? It's like, yeah, it would be kind of weird to have this giant wolf thing with you if you're pretending to be a guard, but okay, whatever.
Yeah, it's like walking around with a giant Wookiee.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, I mean, what kind of story is this then? Is it driven by the action, essentially, as he's being hunted by his lineage?
It's an action and kind of political intrigue kind of mix.
This is definitely the first chapter of what's definitely going to be, I think, a bit of a saga. So we definitely get the opening chapter, but a lot of it is set up for what's to come. So we get to know the main players, I think, in this opening chapter. You get to know your main hero. You get to know kind of who will become, I think, his mentor. You get to know probably his potential love interest, who is the hot archer chick who has like magic arrow powers. And then obviously we get to know, I think, probably the big bad.
I will say the villain is like just completely straight. I'm a villain and do evil things because I'm evil. At this point, that's all he is. The king.
Yeah, evil king.
Yeah, he's evil king at this point. But there is a line dropped a couple times. Like, we have insiders in the government that think he's crazy, so they're actually giving us supply and material to defeat him.
Well, when you mentioned political intrigue, I mean, are there more players then in the story other than just the protagonist?
Well, I mean, there is the Rebellion, which is kind of a formed group already. It's got Hana, which is the archer chick, and then Walter, which the description completely spoils who he is, but as it's not in the story, I guess I won't say it because it's like, well, that just spoiled that, but okay. He's the leader of the Rebellion.
The Ashcan ends up kind of spoiling it too. So it's the end of the story kind of hints at the spoiler essentially, but the description, the character profiles,
just
and
tells you straight
right,
up.
exactly,
Yeah.
just straight up.
I mean, there could be mystery. Essentially, he says this item is some relation of mine. And it's like, well, then how did he get it? But you can make logical guesses. But
Jack Stafford says that YouTube is saying our video is from Sky News
on November 2. Yeah, I read that. I didn't know what that meant, but I don't know. I assume YouTube is doing all kinds of funny things, and how these streams get recommended or previewed. A lot of people tell me their notifications don't come up.
Yeah, sometimes it'll if your video, like, I don't know if it has a title or if the topic has to deal with something and it maybe like recognizes it, it tries to say, hey, your video is from this video game or something, and it's completely not. So I'm wondering if it's doing something stupid like that.
Well, I'm really trying hard to glean exactly how the exposition is in the story, because it sounds like he just goes from a sequence of conflicts, trying to escape having to own up to his royal lineage, and the character is dry and coarse, it sounds like. But what exactly is enthralling you and keeping you interested for 60 pages worth of story?
I would say it starts off, it's not slow. I would say almost it's rushed. It's like event happens and like he yells at a innkeeper and all of a sudden he's out on the street already. I think it tries, logically it wants to get through, just the boring kind of exposition stuff, but that seems kind of rushed. So it does get into the interesting parts pretty quickly, which is good, but I almost think it should have probably let itself breathe a little bit more. I think what really works is that, especially on a second read through, you'll notice like little things are said about the world and there will be payoffs a few pages later. It's like the world was very well crafted. He clearly understands what he wants in the world, how these characters all interconnect. So he'll be dropping clues throughout as why this matters, or if something matters, he'll at least make sure a character talks about it before it actually becomes important. So I think it's well crafted, at least in that sense.
Mm-hmm. And what about you, Twitless? What do you think the exposition focus on mainly throughout the story? Is it strictly, as Sunbar described, trying to hit certain story beats, or
yeah, it's definitely trying to hit certain story beats, and that's part of what it's something I definitely empathize with, because I ran into this issue with my first issue as well, which is, hey, it's my first issue. I'm introducing characters, world, and there's certain things you tend to need to do to accomplish that, and a lot of them I think can be unavoidable, and so this story in 60 pages needs to establish its main characters. It also needs to establish its world building, which means that there are moments that we're going to have to, especially for a setting that's so alien to our own. Like if it's set in modern day Earth, there's certain things you can just assume that people know, and then you can just give certain context clues. That's why the newscast trope is such a trope, is because it's like, oh, when you do an expo dump, it's on the news. When you have an alien world, you have to accomplish it differently. So in Testament, we get some early action beats, which is cool. We get, it starts off with an exciting kind of motorcycle chase, and the book also tells you in that opening scene that it's not going to pull its punches, because the main character, it's Carl, right? Yeah, Carl.
Yes.
He slices off a guy's fingers, and then that guy like explodes because the guy had a grenade and he dropped it after his fingers got cut off. So the book establishes not only the main character, it also establishes a little bit of the setting, as you can see with the crystals, but then it also establishes that sort of violent tone. So you kind of very quickly get a little bit of that. But once Carl kind of gets into the capital city, and then gets kind of wrapped up in the plot with the rebellion, that's where the kind of the story kind of takes a step back to then, hey, we're going to do a little bit of world building here. We're going to do some exposition. We're going to set some of the stakes up.
Which I would say is probably where it's stronger, at least in my opinion. Where it slows down just a little bit, just lets the characters interact.
Is that the point where you start to feel a bit more invested in the story and what happens to the characters?
I just found it more interesting. Yeah, I don't know how Twitless felt.
I don't know if I felt strongly on that particular point. I was just, I think I did enjoy the world. And I think that this is a story where early on, I think the world itself is going to be one of the stronger selling points until the characters have enough time to really interact with each other a lot. Even in 60 pages, the characters just haven't had as much time to kind of rub off on each other. Like they go on like their first excursion together, essentially. I think the ash can, starts.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say.
Out.
Like the ash can is like where he decides, instead of like, I only have 8 pages. So instead of like presenting everything, it's like, here's just the vignette of this world. And I think that the ash can works very well, actually.
Yeah, I read the ash can first, which I was a little disorienting.
Even though it is in the past, but.
I think it's a mix, right? Because they're.
It's essentially him as a boy with the Raiders.
Oh no! Wait, the ash can preview.
Oh, there's an ash can preview. Oh, I'm talking about the side story.
The side story. Oh yeah. Sorry, I wasn't. Yeah, the side story is basically kind of a flashback where you get to know the kid a bit more.
And it's drawn by Preston Acevedo.
You also get a little bit more world building for, I think, what will be the entire saga's larger threat, because they talk about an evil entity that had to be sealed away. And the minute you bring up evil entity sealed away, that's just code for he coming out. So
it's been locked in the closet all this time.
And I do like kind of how it connects, like kind of the Nordic, or if you want to say Germanic, kind of like mythology with like, what would they be in a Mad Max world? Well, they'd be the biker guys.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So it's kind of interesting how it connects the modern day races and peoples with what is kind of more classical mythology.
Biker Vikings.
Yes.
Or Vikings.
You mentioned that he was a wayward prince. Did they play off the relationship with the father at all in the story?
We don't know the father yet, because he's an orphan. Yeah.
They're hinting at it. It's stuff that seeds that are being planted. This, like I said, this is definitely an opening chapter in what's meant to be a larger saga, which is fine. But there's, I think this book does what it needs to do to build that first chapter. And I think it keeps you interested enough to want to see the next installment.
Does it tell a self-encapsulated story in this first issue, or is it pretty much just open-ended and leave you hanging until you get the next chapter?
It's more like a pilot episode, I think. It has revelations, but it's definitely a cliffhanger ending.
It's definitely a complete episode. I should definitely stress that it has enough action. It has an arc to it. Not as much of maybe a character arc, but definitely an arc for where the characters are going. A
journey arc.
Yeah, exactly. Like they meet the evil king kind of misses them, barely by this much, and I'll get you next time kind of a thing. And they escape. The rebellion escapes to its next kind of destination, and then the setup of more revelations to come regarding Carl's lineage and his connections to the rebellion, and the fact that he has an untapped potential through his bloodline with his he can channel this mysterious kind of blue energy and become kind of superhuman, but that all kind of happens at the towards the end of this the climax of this installment.
So talk about the art a little bit. What I'm looking at here, I won't express my opinions because I'm not the one giving the review. But maybe the paneling and the sequencing. What are your thoughts on how that was all executed?
If paneling, I would say it's competent. It's got some creativity in it. Like sometimes it's pretty simple like that, just blocks. But sometimes you got characters overlapping panels and things like that. So it's got some skill in that regard. Sequencing, I don't know what to say about sequencing. You have something to say about that, Twiddless?
Yeah, I do. I think one strong point this book has is for sequencing, because sequencing is one of those things where you often don't notice it unless it's being done very poorly. In which case, you'll say something like, "I got confused at this sequence. I didn't understand this action that was taken." And from what I remember from my reading, I don't think I had any problems. I think every time that they were doing actions, I understood exactly what was going on and how they were doing it. There's definitely some good establishing shots. There's some like inset paneling going on where you kind of have a large image and then other panels are kind of set on top of that. And some of that is done very creatively. Otherwise, the paneling is, I would say, pretty straightforward, but it's not necessarily a criticism. Straightforward paneling can be very, very effective, especially in, as we see in Euroscene comics. So that's not necessarily a detriment.
I would say like this panel, this is neither sequencing or paneling, but like he uses like extreme perspective actually quite a bit. Like here's that gun popping out at you, and now there's like someone's looking down in a sewer at someone in there. That's or like even that first panel we saw with on the page with him entering the city. He definitely knows his craft pretty well. I would say there's no like if you compare this to Vestry, like Vestry draws some really cool and awesome things, but here obviously you get backgrounds. And like that guy's being blown off a bike and flying. It doesn't seem like he's just floating in the air. You can feel the movement.
Mm-hmm.
So he's really good at that. Where like you're freezing a frame. So how do you show movement? I'm not an artist. So I don't know how to tell you to do that, but you definitely nailed it in that image right there.
Yeah, I would say overall, I wasn't blown away by the art most of the time, but it's very solid throughout.
Yeah, I would say it's competent. It's solid. There's never anything really interesting, but there's never anything really bad either.
I think that opening, the shot that's on the campaign page, there are, like I said, there are some really good.
There's glimpses here,
like I said, establishing shots. I think there's some very good establishing shots. Like I said, that's a splash image where he kind of comes to the city for the first time that you can see earlier when we were.
You were here at Downcast, right?
I don't believe so.
No, that was Matt.
Matt
C.
C. Well, I would say Downcast is competent like this, but this has a little bit more sparks of creativity than the Downcast art, at least in the first issue or two.
Yeah, because I flipping through it, I still see moments of like characters who are kind of extending beyond a panel, like the extreme perspective. So it's got good stuff in it, and like I said, it's solid, and solid is good.
I mean, it's not Ethan Van Sciver, but for a small campaign, he found a pretty decent artist for the limited money he has to work with. So,
and like I said before, I know I've repeated this point, but like when it comes to setting the scenes for what's going to happen, I think that's where the art maybe shines the best, because there's that sign. There's a page where they're going down the hall of like with the statues with the sword, where everyone's kind of there's statues of these Nordic figures with swords. And then, of course, like I said, the entrance as he's coming into the city. So when he's setting up scenes, that's, I think, where the art shines the strongest. And when you're trying to do world building for a comic of this type, I think setting the scene is really important, because you're trying to immerse people in this fantastical world. And so I would say that the strengths of the art definitely play into what this book is trying to do, which is, again, to its credit.
I will have to say, though, the Preston Acevedo art is, I guess I'll say the Preston Acevedo art is excellent. That is just, every panel is just fun to look at. Every character.
It is, but there is one thing I have to say, and it's not really a critique, but it's just something that I noticed because I've worked with pages kind of before. But you can actually notice how when it got to the point where he was assembling the pages, there was a couple moments because like the artist like signed the pages a lot.
Oh, he did. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That's kind of weird. Yeah.
And then you'll notice that it's on page like 1, 2, 3, I think.
Yeah.
And then he happens again somewhere else, and then at one point he kind of has to cut it off because of just what he's doing with the pages. And sometimes what you do in those situations, you just kind of like get rid of that. So there's a little more roughness to that art in some respects.
I mean, I assume there's some intention. It's somewhat intentional, but
yeah. The roughness to it is also a strength because this is depicting a desert landscape where life is supposed to be really harsh and rugged. But I did notice, I was like, oh, so he had to deal with signatures in weird places and having to fit that on the page. And
you're supposed to wake up, well read.
Well, I'm here. I'm just I'm waiting for you two to say everything that you wanted to. But what about the way that the characters are drawn? Did you find that there was a lot of detail and expression there?
I thought that was okay. I didn't love the way the characters were drawn. That's about all I have to say about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm looking at some of these side panels here, and
that's Preston Acevedo.
Yeah, that's the flashback story we were talking about.
Those look really like this colored one here.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That looks like
that I would call excellent art. But
yeah, that's like from an old issue of Heavy Metal.
And look at him blowing that guy's head up.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty fun. Cool. All right. Would you say that the story drives the art or the art drives the story? How many splash pages did we get in this book?
I think just the one.
So exposition heavy, lots of small paneling, or large action sequences?
I mean, there's never really that many words on a page. There's
like mix. It keeps up the pace. I was never bogged down by the text or dialogue.
Which is always to the credit of a guy who's a writer realizing he's writing a comic book and not a novel. But so that's the credit of Chimera.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's not an Alan Moore reading experience where it's like, oh, I'm going to be spending 15 minutes on this page.
Well, yeah, I was thinking like in the 70s, the old X-Men books, for example, like a lot of small panels, almost all word bubbles.
I do love me some Claremont, though.
Yeah, I mean, those are great, exactly. But that's story driving the art. Then you look at like the 90s books and everything, splash pages, and art is pretty driving the entire
I think it's a good balance. There's not too much dialogue, but there's not just art. It's like there's good storytelling in the paneling, which has got to be some mix between the artist and the writer. But
I'd agree. I think I'd agree with that. I think there's a decent balance of the two.
Well, I guess let's quickly just run through what you're getting here. Both covers in an ash can. So there were multiple covers, Rob Willis and a Joe Ball, both great artists. And that was $50. So 49 people got that.
So it's $20 for 60 pages of art. So that 52 pages of the primary story and 8 of the side story, I think.
Right. And then down here, bonus story art. Oh, I see. If you wanted pages, you could get original pencils and paint it as well. And then there was a doodle bag sketch card plus the book. Only one of those. That was interesting. And a sim sketch card as well. So he had sketch cards and only one made exclusively for people to be able to pick up. That's a unique tier. I haven't seen that before. So interesting. Do you have anything else that you'd like to say before final thoughts?
Yes, I do. This story concludes with a fight with a basically robo suit of armor where they end up shooting a Gatling gun at it. So that was definitely a fun moment. So if you want to see Gatling guns shooting at robo suits, you're definitely going to enjoy the climax of this book.
Yeah, there was quite a good mix of intrigue and action in this book, I'd say.
Cool. Aldous on the farm says, good evening, all. Good evening. Wiggle echoes your sentiment, Sunbar. He says, wake up. Oh, he's in the back. That's why. Yeah, I'll bring you on as soon as the review is done, Wiggle. And then let's see. Anybody else? No. Twitless is saying, good to see you. Yep, absolutely. Good to see new faces in the chat. It's always a pleasure. So, anything to say for final thoughts?
I would just say when I listed all the fantasy books, I think this definitely would qualify sort of as fantasy. So if that's interest you more than superheroes and capes, then maybe check it out.
See, I'm going to push back against that just a little bit, which is, or not push back, but like, I think it's definitely not cape superheroes, but like broadly speaking, we have characters who have superpowers. It's just kind of like superpowers through slightly different means.
That could be, but it's more like fantasy.
Yeah, definitely.
Powers, yeah.
I just think that broadly speaking, because like see people go, "Oh, I hate superheroes," and it's like, so this character, but you like a story where the guy gets superhero abilities. He just doesn't like wear a costume and fight crime.
Well, it might be that is why they don't like it though.
That's true. So it's like,
oh, sorry. You finish, please.
Oh no, I lost.
It's like, sorry. All this, yeah, guys. I just realized this. So he says, not sure where Chimera is, but I appreciate your feedback. Currently editing book 2.
Oh, cool.
I mean, Aldous, you're welcome to come on and talk to us a little bit about the book. I reached out to Chimera, but I didn't hear anything back. So if you'd like to jump in and share your thoughts, we'd really appreciate hearing them, and we'd be very curious to know what we have to look forward to in book 2.
Apparently, the first book was edited by Steve Dye, though.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
You do get a preview for the second book in the Ashcan preview, I believe, because they said they're going to this this other kingdom, and you get a short preview of that.
I would also like to add that the quality is a little bit better than the previous books. This is actually square bound, and it's got quite a nice cover and pages, so it's a little step above even, just better than floppy this time.
Yeah.
The link is pinned, Aldous, so it should be at the top of the chat. So what about thoughts about future books in the series? Woodback again? Interested in seeing more?
Well, if it's $20 for 60 pages, it'd probably be worth it to back again.
I would definitely say that if you're into, like, if you liked Judge Dredd, if you like Mad Max, I would even say, like I said, there's some similarities to like a Star Wars and even Dune a little bit. Just that type of story where you're mixing politics with supernatural things and a rich world that is dystopian. It's not a world that's working the way it should. If you like those things, but you also like a bit of, at least for this particular story, there's that Germanic influence. There's that Germanic Nordic kind of influence as well. Then definitely check out Testament.
I'll quickly read the synopsis, bring on Wiggle, and see what he wanted to say, and then I'll bring on Aldous. So the synopsis is, Carl sets out for revenge after the massacre of the clan of warriors who raised him. Later, Carl joins an underground rebel group made up of runaways, criminals, and ex-soldiers. The rebel group intends to overthrow the king and establish order to Rhineland. Along the way, Carl learns of his bloodline and the power he inherits.
That is correct. He knows his own book. Good job.
I passed the test.
Unlike 499.
Oh, we're going to go there again. Okay, so quickly, Wiggle insists that we have to review something urgently. Let's see what that is. Wiggle.
Hi.
Greetings.
Should I share what you're sharing?
Yeah.
What is this?
I don't know. You tell me. What is this? I need it reviewed. I don't understand what's
Is
happening.
it a pontoon boat attached to a car or what?
This looks like Red Green built it.
That's true as well.
Is that what
It's
that
the
looks
most.
like to you?
It's a skateboard.
That's a car.
It's a whole car. Okay.
If the women don't find you handsome, they should at least find you
Yeah.
handy.
Yeah, look at that. It's a car. See the car, the wheels.
Uh-huh.
What's
Well,
that in the front?
It's a car with like a flatbed from a wagon put
It's
on the
like
front
a
of it.
flagpole on the front of it or
Is
something.
that what that is?
This is clearly a P. Diddy style
Oh, I know.
shrimping vessel.
This is a mobile stripper stage.
Oh, wow.
That's what
Well,
this
Red
is.
got it. Of course he would know.
Okay. Did we get the answer, Wiggle?
Yeah, I mean, what do you think of it? I was asking to review it, please.
Yes. Did you build this yourself?
No, I saw it. I took a picture.
I don't like the
Ah.
red stripe. I don't like
Wait,
the
you saw this in
color of
real
the
life?
bumper.
Yeah, I did.
Did you dance on it?
No,
Were you repoing it? Like what was?
no,
was
I
the
just
top-
I was
what was-
driving past it and I had to take a picture of it.
I do like the shed though in the background. It looks like they recently painted it.
Mm-hmm.
I like the pool stairs that don't actually go to a swimming pool, or do they?
I don't know. I can't tell. I can't tell. But it is interesting that the seats are sitting the wrong way. It seems.
That's true. I didn't notice that. Those are movie theater seats.
Do you think it still operates, or is it just rolls around and something else pulls it?
I don't know, man. Like I'm so
How
confused.
would you drive
I
it?
saw this.
Because I think it just rolls. I think that's what it.
Well, you can see the little. I wish I could zoom in on it more, but those little green things are the mirrors, and they could barely see it. But there's the steering wheel. Like you can drive this thing apparently.
Okay, you could. Oh.
Hmm. With a stripper on top, I'm sure. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I guess I ruined your stream.
No, that's great. Yeah, that's a nice diversion. We are going to bring on though the editor
Mhm.
for.
Yeah, that's all I
book
want to
two.
do. I was just waiting back there, trying not to die, just to show this to you
Well, I mean, yeah.
because I
Thank you.
like you.
Thank you for surviving. We like you too. But I don't promise that you won't die, because now we're going back to the original.
I
review.
rate it a roll of dollar bills, but
Well,
only
wait.
only singles.
What does it say? It says something at a time.
Oh, what? Let me look. Let me see if I can see it. What does that say? Oh, what does that say? One at a time, maybe? It's like
Maybe.
covered up.
Yeah.
There's like tape over it. It says at a time, though. You're all right. Huh. Good
Hmm.
eye. And by
Good
the
eye.
way, those stairs
eye,
do
Mike.
not go to a pool. I'm looking at it, and it looks like it goes to a trampoline.
Of course.
The
Oh,
Tallest
wait,
trampoline
Ahmed
in
has it.
Ohio.
It's Cheech's main mode of transportation.
Clearly.
So there's probably a woman and a dog on that pole. That's
Oh,
what I-
it's
boy.
it's a Horade float. There we are.
I just got
I
that.
I love Ohio. I do.
Yes.
It's great. I love it.
Well, thank you, Wiggle. That was a welcome distraction. So
You're welcome. Have a great night, folks.
you as well. Bye.
Peace.
Okay, and now we will bring on the editor for book 2 of Testament. Please welcome Aldous.
Good evening, gentlemen. How are we this evening?
Good
Very,
evening.
very good. Thank you for joining us. It's great to have somebody jump in who can talk about the book.
Absolutely. No, I really appreciated what you guys had to say. The crystal thing, though, Twillis. Wow, man. I don't know where you got that. But
Yeah, Twitless is into some weird stuff. So
Wait,
He might
what
be
are you
seeing-
talking about? There's crystals in the book.
Plasma crystals.
they're not associated with anything after the opening sequence, though.
Oh, nothing. Yeah, sure.
But they say they use the plasma guns, use them though. So
That's true. I guess there is that reference. Yeah.
yeah.
Also, did you have anything to do with the first book, Aldous, or are you strictly working on the second?
I did not have anything to do with the first book, no, other than just being a big fan. I started talking with Chimera, kind of walked him through my takeaways from the book. And he just said, well, do you want to help me edit it? And I said, sure. And so then we started working on it. So currently we've got book 2 that we're working on. as well as a lore book that will add in a little bit more of the depths that you guys were kind of touching on and explain some of the things. He kind of had it roughed out for book 1, but didn't want to include it because he wasn't sure how the campaign would be responded to, given that it did fairly well. He's looking forward to being able to produce a lore book this time. So we're working on that as well.
Will the lore book be text or visual?
It'll be more of an illustrated fiction. Imagine think of like an RPG source material book where you've got images and associated with text, neither one fully absorbing the page, kind of complementing each other. Short stories, summaries, definitions, but with some really, really nice art. Chimera is really focused on making sure this thing looks great for the customer.
Do you have the same artist on the time, or?
The source book's a variety of artists. The volume 2, the book itself, is the same artist whose name escapes me at the moment. I'm sorry.
Julian de Silva.
Yes, that sounds
Liliano de Silva.
Who's also apparently an MMA fighter.
Maybe.
I don't know about that.
But I think it's a separate person. I was just saying. When you search Juliano de Silva, they're like MMA stats. I'm like, probably not the same guy.
Gotcha. Now, did you guys? And I missed the first part. Did you guys talk about the ash can at all?
I mentioned it. The ash can preview.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I got that. So.
Okay, the ash can preview is the first several pages of book 2. There have been some small alterations to that, but it really kind of sets up. The action really starts to ramp up. You start getting a little bit more into the backstory of the relationship between Carl and King Albrecht, and why you have some of the antagonism from the king towards Carl. Why is he looking for him? Those kind of things, and then just starts expanding on the cast of characters that Chimera has woven into the story.
Yeah, that's the second book. From what I was gathering, was establishing that even though book 1 had a really heavy Nordic Germanic influence, it wasn't that you were necessarily going to stay there, because the second book seems to be going in a much different direction, much more of an Eastern influence.
The Ishtar region, or whatever.
Dayu, I think, is where they're.
Yeah, Ishtar's coming. You also have the Dogra Empire, and you have the Dayu Empire or Dayu Kingdom. Each, like the initial campaign stated, the world's kind of split up into multiple kingdoms, and each kingdom's ruled by a warlord, a figurehead of some significant power. And there's a lot of structure and strife that's going on between the various kingdoms, and Albrecht is moving around trying to gain the ancient technology from his forefathers. And so as the rebellion's following Albrecht, trying to stop him here as they left and they were going to Dayu at the end of the first book.
So is your intention to continue to world build and expand in that direction, or are you hoping to kind of tell a certain kind of narrative with this series for this character, and the things that he's contending with, his power, his lineage, all these other dynamics that are at play here? What is exactly the story, the plot motivation going to be going forward?
Well, I'm not going to ruin the book for you. I will tell you.
Oh, no spoilers, of course.
Yeah. Story drives this. This is all about story. Everything complements the story. When Chimera and I talk, we talk about immersion in the world. So you don't just label a place as, I don't know, you don't just call it Rhineland. To me is just a little too upfront and heavy, right? So you want to kind of play with it, bring the person into the world, let them kind of absorb into it and let it wrap around them. So you use terms that are hinting at what you're talking about, but still gives you that range that you can, expand out. And this isn't a preconceived notion. You're building it through how your story progresses. But everything focuses on Carl. It's Carl's story. It's moving Carl through the story and showing you his various arcs as he develops as a character. But beyond that, in order to do all that, we have to put the foundation down for the lore, because that's what paves the road that Carl walks on. So it's a delicate balancing act in the story to weave those two things together and make sure they complement each other, more so for the foundation, that lore that complements the story, because the story is what's, at the end of the day, the most important thing.
So when do you plan on launching this? I assume probably sometime after SOS Volume 3 closes, but...
Yeah, I believe Chimera's planning on May or June this year for a launch on Testament
Okay.
2.
So rather soon then.
Yep. Yeah, I think SOS. Yeah, I think SOS funds in next month. I'd have to check with Chimera to be sure, but SOS is all complete and ready to go. So he's just got to get it out to the. I don't know if he's. Man, I gotta check. I know he's talking to a different printer this time,
Yeah.
so I don't know if that's been finalized or not.
I would say Chimera tends to get his books out rather fast because Testament, I believe, was his third book and he'll have his fourth book out, I guess, shortly. So he does get a lot of books out. So
yeah, the kid's the real deal, man. He puts a lot of time and a lot of effort into it, and as you guys kind of complimented, you can see that he understands how panels need to work. He understands story progression, and he really didn't need that much help. Honestly, his script was pretty tight initially. We're just definitely adding a little bit more to it as we can.
All right. I've got a couple of broader overarching questions. So how many, first question, how many chapters of this saga are currently being envisioned? Or is it just kind of an ongoing thing to see how far you go? And then secondly, because due to the nature of the Ashcan, is the second volume all ready to go? Is it like 3/4 complete, or like where exactly is it in terms of completeness?
The script is complete. We're just, like I said, going through and making minor edits here and there. As far as art, I want to say I've seen 10 pages so far.
but is it going to be about the same length as the first one?
If not a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
But around that 60-page marker.
Is Preston Acevedo going to draw a couple pages again, or?
I don't believe so, but I haven't gotten into that. I know there's, like I said, there's the lore book, and then Chimera's mentioned a couple other ideas, but I haven't gotten around to those yet. I just started on the lore book, so.
And how many chapters is just see how far you can go? Is there a set number of chapters for it, or?
Rough outline that I've seen from Chimera, he's got 8 currently planned, and the story's still open after that.
Awesome. Okay, cool.
Oh, and will you be drawing from other inspirations other than? You said the first book was inspired heavily by Mad Max and Vampire Hunter D. Has he considered broadening that for subsequent chapters?
Yeah, one of the things when I read it, I didn't get the Vampire Hunter D thing, but I'm not a weeb, so I mean I've seen the show,
Yeah, I have
but
no
it's
idea.
It didn't ring any bells for me. When I read this, the first thing that came to my mind was Elric. And so, I told him, man, you got to go out and get yourself some Elric and read. And he read it and he loved it. And so we're kind of, now we're talking on the same level because he's looking at what I'm thinking when I'm reading it. And then he gets what I'm saying a little bit better. So that really helps. We're a little bit more simpatico on when we're talking about that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, the overarching influence still kind of has that pseudo dystopian feel to it. But I think what you're going to get as you move further into it is stuff that's a little bit more biblical in its historical context relationship, if that's clear at all.
Well, I mean, I assume maybe sort of kind of like how this has some Nordic mythology. You're going to add some biblical mythology into all this kind of uncertain at this point gods of the past type thing.
It's I'm not going to say it's not like I guess biblical is probably the wrong word, but there is there is the mythology is based on, it draws from a lot of different sources, and you'll see that for sure. But it's how you
were using biblical as a kind of like an adjective essentially in terms of like biblical proportions.
Yeah, it's a universal lore that's I've never seen an indie author have this much material that they based on. This guy, Chimera, spent a lot of time before he started writing the story out, both outlining the past and where these people come from and multiple generations back and family trees and maps. Excuse me.
Actually, I do. That does prompt a follow-up question because of some of the religious references to like missionaries and religion. The fact the book is called Testament, is there in fact a biblical, like in terms of like the Bible? Is there an undercurrent of that's just being hinted at, or is that intentional, unintentional? Is there anything that without spoiling that's?
Yeah, I don't know how much Chimera wants me to give away on that.
Okay,
so I'm not going to say one way or the other. I'm just going to say he's a student of a lot of different faiths, and certain things interest him more than others in a variety of those faiths. And you can see that influence when you step back and see the whole story, which I'm really hoping everybody gets to, because it's a great series.
Well, I mean, what I'm impressed by is like this backstory clearly is like someone who's planning to write kind of like a novel, epic type story. But when he turns it into the comic book, he knows to step back and let some of the paneling tell the story. And I notice a lot of time, like authors that turn to comics have problems with that. So he did a pretty good job with that, even in the first issue.
He's an excellent writer in that he understands how to talk to an artist, and he really does a good job in his descriptions for his panel layouts and for his page layouts, on how to speak to an artist to relay what he's bringing across in the paragraphs that he writes before he breaks it out into a page. So it's a rare skill, and he's really good at it.
Well, and not having dialogue be paragraph after paragraph. It's like you got to tell your story through visual, not just through writing when you're doing a comic book. So
right, and I'm like Twitless. I mean, I'm a Claremont fan, so I don't, and I'm more of a Silver Age, Golden Age guy anyway. So I don't mind a good story driven book. I really am I'm more like Twitless, in fact, in that you give me a 90s book that's got 17 splash pages in a 26 page book, and I'm going yawn. Like, I don't make sure it complements the story. And it's a delicate balance now with modern readers, and Chimera's managed to accomplish it here with Testament, and from all appearances and from what I've seen of the script and the art, he's going to do it with book 2.
Well, it was nice that there's just essentially, from what I recall, just one splash page in the first book. It kind of makes it stand out. If you got 5 or 6 splash pages, then it's just, okay, this is because this padding and they didn't have a story to write here. But when you have one, it kind of stands out on its own by being unique.
Yeah, I think there's strengths and weaknesses to both approaches, and it's about kind of finding the voice of the story that you want to tell. And like I said, this story here has a world, so there's definitely going to need to be I think a balance between the two. Because if you drop someone in an alien world with no explanations and a bunch of splash pages, it's going to be very disorienting. Unless people are really signing up for that, it's going to turn people off. So you got to have you got to guide them through it. You got to have moments where you say, hey, this is why we're doing what we're doing in this world that no one knows.
We didn't really mention this, but the first page has some exposition text boxes, but they just tell you what you need to know, and it's not going on forever. So you know the planet, you know the region, you know some of the political divisions, and then the story starts.
Yeah, it establishes why things are weird. It starts off with, hey, these weird crystals make things mutate stuff. So you're going to be seeing some weird things, readers.
And here's the year 10,000. I think that's good in itself. It doesn't mean it's not Earth per se, but if it's year 10,000, there's just lots of history layered on top of itself.
Right.
And so there's going to be references to the past when you see the year 10,000.
Yeah, just on what was shown from the few pages we looked at, and then the description of the story, I was getting almost like a Nordic mythical Dune vibe, and so I was expecting there to be more exposition. That's why I was asking whether or not story is driving a lot of this. But if he's able to blend it well, I mean, that's good. It's makes for fun comic reading, driving a little bit more of the Mad Max aspects.
No, and it's funny you mentioned Dune. I'm a huge Frank Herbert fan, and that was one of my first questions for him when we first started talking. I was like, well, how many times have you read Dune? And he's like, well, never. I was like, oh, okay, because that's kind of my first thought as well when you're talking about, especially the year 10,000, since that's actually the year that, the era that Dune is set in. But the exposition in the beginning, if I was involved in book 1, I might have handled that a little bit different. But yeah, we've got exposition in books 2. It's controlled. It's not meant to overpower the story, but there are some times when you have to offer something.
Yeah.
I would say it was dry in book 1, but at least it wasn't very much. So I was like, well, I got the information, and it didn't reappear. So it's like, okay, I accept it.
Well, not only that, but I was never bothered. Like I've read books before where things that are done like actively bother. It's like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? And I was never bothered while reading this. So that's an important point that speaks to the credit of it. That even though it needed to do certain expositions, I was never like, oh my gosh.
What about characterization? Do you think we'd get to know a bit more, I guess, more aspects of Carl's character? It seemed like he was a rogue, but then there's also traits of him that were, very harsh based on the climate and upbringing he experienced. Does he start to express a little bit more of himself in the subsequent issues? Or can we just expect things to mainly stay focused on his surroundings and his experiences in that area?
Well, I think when you look at the context of book one, you start off and he's obviously a loner. And then as he goes to the town, as he goes to Rhineland, and he meets the rebellion, you start seeing him. His distrust is evident. But towards the end of the book, you start seeing him kind of open up a little bit, and he's kind of accepting them. He's accepting help. He's willing to help them, and that's growth of character. Very subtle and shallow, but it's there. And as you move forward, and as he grows to have more trust in his these people, this rebellion, I think you're going to see the character change a little bit. You're going to have different contexts from actions and events that affect him. I mean, he fought his uncle at the end of book one. That brings up a whole nest of stuff about family that's lightly touched on in the Preston Acevedo pages towards the end of book one. So you'll see that character growth for sure. It might not always come how you think it's going to come, and you might not think his reaction is always correct based off of what you know up to that point. So some things might happen that you're going to go, well, that seems a little out of character, and then as you read a little bit more, you go, oh, now I understand why he did this. So there's still the question. It's never, it's not a direct ladder where it's, oh, okay, step one, step two, step three. It's lightly suggested, and it's handled with a deft hand. Again, Chimera is a shockingly good writer for his age.
Mm-hmm. So we'll get to probe his psychology a little bit more. I don't know if it was brought up in too much detail, but what about the technology in this world? Like it's set in the year 2000. There's different kingdoms ruled by different
10,000.
warlords. 10,000. Did I say 10,000? What
You
did I
said
say?
2.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm tired. But yeah, so it's set in the year 10,000. Different warlords, but I don't think it explored a lot about the tech for this world, whether or not there's ships, there's space travel, those kinds of things. How much more is there going to be of that sort of parts of the story being introduced?
As you go through the story for book two, you'll see that not every place is as advanced as Rhineland. That's shown a little bit in the ash can with the Dayu Empire, and so they're still using they're using swords, but they also at the same time have plasma weapons. They have regular guns. There's conventional ordnance. There's magic. Hannah's got a magic arrow, bow that she shoots magic arrows with. There's that is explained a little bit more as you're going through, but it's also left a little bit up in the air for an eventual explanation as to why that is, and that does happen. Whether that's going to happen in book two or not is one of the things we're kind of hashing out a little bit. But
I was struck by the style of the technology, because even when some of it was advanced, it would often maybe look a little bit older. So you kind of have this weird kind of anachronistic style, which is cool. Because like at the very end, there's this Gatling gun. It's clearly firing a kind of like energy, so it's like a plasma Gatling gun, but it looks kind of like an older. It's like on wheels, and it almost looks like I don't know, World War.
I like that they throw
maybe.
a tarp off of it. It's like a tarp, like the old way you would handle a Gatling gun.
Yeah, so it almost has, and with the character who's using it, it almost has this quasi Wild West feel to it, but then it's shooting plasma. So there seems to be this interesting blend of like advanced tech, but even some of the advanced tech has the stylistics or aesthetics of something that's older.
Well, I'll say this: if you have a technology jump for whatever reason, what you're most likely to see is an aesthetic that matches your current technology, just with a higher level of power or control, right? So, if instantaneously tomorrow we somehow got anti-gravity technology, an anti-gravity car is going to look like a car today, just with anti-gravity, kind of like Back to the Future 2, where suddenly the DeLorean's hovering. So to keep that in mind, there's a reason for why a lot of the tech looks archaic and what you would consider archaic, that kind of matches some of the background shots that you see, especially when you're open and you're in the desolate wastes with Carl and he's collecting the crystals, or in the Preston Acevedo end pages where you see that kind of Wild West look. The technology is coming in, and it's quickly being adapted, and that adaptation is taking the forms of things that you see in everyday life, just modeling that technology and applying its use.
Slight teaser there, so thank you for that. That's cool. Did either of you have any more questions on Bar Twitless?
No, thank you very much for coming on and fleshing this out more for us.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for the feedback was excellent. I got a whole half a page of notes here on some of what you guys said. So
Awesome.
I definitely appreciate it, and thanks so much for being a fan of Testament. Definitely, check out Testament Volume 2 when it drops this year, everybody.
Cool. We'll absolutely do that. So thank you. It's great having you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good one, guys.
You too.
Good night.
Bye. Okay, Twitless, I know you needed to run, right? You said that you didn't want to go too late.
Yeah, I should probably hop off. Is there anything like really pertinent that's you guys are discussing, or are you just gonna like? Oh,
It's just you, Twitless.
Just you. Yeah.
Okay.
You're running the show now.
Okay, what the hell? Okay. I was just asking, is there anything like important, like really important on the docket? Get me off of this name.
No, I was gonna just hang out with the chat a little bit. I knew it was getting late for you. I didn't want to drag it out too long because I was gonna bring up Twitter news that I've come across. Basically, I'm really just trying to fill 2 hours.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. I think I will. I do need to get to bed at some point, so I think I might bounce and start getting ready for bed. I might chat or something. So
cool. Yeah. I was gonna bring people on, but I don't think a lot of people are going to come on.
Well, you have 5 people watching, so probably not.
Yeah, and Ethan is streaming right now, so there's probably not going to be too much open in the open call-in aspect of the show. So yeah, I'll just do a bit of news and wrap it up. But all this says, happy to talk about Testament and glad to get the opportunity. Yeah, we were glad to have you with us. So thank you very much for that, Aldous.
Don't be a stranger. Come back on and talk to us, even if it's not about Testament. You're cool.
Yeah,
cool guy to
absolutely.
talk to.
Come hang out anytime. I was going to ask what other things you're working on, but I did want to give Twitless the opportunity to go to bed.
Yeah. Let's see. Well hung and dung. Hey, good to see you. How long exactly does it take Twitless to get ready for bed? Well, I have to, put my hair curlers in and everything. So it takes a little longer.
Do you sleep with little cucumbers?
Do you put on a mask?
Yeah. Do you put little cucumbers on your eyes?
Yeah, exactly. It takes a lot of work to preserve this level of youth and beauty.
I was going to say geek and nerd.
Okay.
Magic combination of the two.
Yeah.
In appearance.
I have to read a bunch of comics analytical texts in order to get ready for bed. Put you to sleep. Check out Adventures of Omega Girl. I see Jack. Thank you for putting that link in the chat. And like I said, it's issue 2 any day. I just got on Indie Planet's case to say, hey, where's issue 2? Why are you not posting it? And
so you haven't finished. It just needs to be posted, huh?
I mean, like I've done everything on my end, and they just need to, I don't know, click whatever buttons on their end to get it live. It's been sitting for like 6 weeks.
6 weeks? How long does it take to upload a file? What?
I think Indie Planet's been facing a lot of challenges recently with COVID. And so they've also, I think, been hit by the paper shortages that are going on as well. So they've got.
I guess, because you can also buy a physical
So they've had a lot of challenges to overcome, and I don't think they have a lot of staff to handle them. So I think it's just the fact that they're not just handling the business of print on demand, but they also host that platform. And I think it's just it just takes a while to get everything situated. So, yep, issue 2 will be coming up soon. I will let you guys know when it does. So, and
looking forward to it. Thank you.
Yeah, sweet. Thank you very much. Thanks, chat. It's been real, and I'll catch you guys later for whatever.
Yeah.
Night.
Good night.
Yeah, good talking to you too, Moonshine or Sunbar.
Sunbar.
Whatever.
Okay. All right. Thanks for having me.
All right. Good night, Willis. Sunbar. Bizarre and disturbing Twitter articles.
Oh no, I'm gonna leave if you do that. What you should do is, since you watched the Batman twice, is review it with Liam Gray.
Liam Gray would rather be caught dead than talking to me. So,
or maybe you could steal Oz from him.
Oz will not come out of his little cave. I would say man cave, but I'm skeptical.
Well, doesn't Risey live near him? Maybe he could beat him over the head and drag him to his stream.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I should get Risey to go over there and roust him out of his little corner. So I don't know. Oz is a wily one, and he's hard to tether down.
He had a book mailing list, but I assume that's down because Indiegogo only keeps him up so long. So I don't know, is he still doing that, or is that defunct?
Honestly, it's weird. I had this discussion with somebody in Discord recently. We don't know what is the psychology of Oz at this point.
Or you write 2 things in chat and then just disappear. So
yeah, it's like he had a show, he had a name, he had a following, he had support, and he decided to just end it all abruptly. And yeah, this is the one thing that really is weird for me. What everybody Love Cthulhu points out: Oz not friend, well read no more. And yeah, apparently I'm attributed to being the reason why there is no Oz any longer.
When he had his 2-hour blow up at you.
Well, and it's weird because
everyone hates you. You should have been even more popular after that.
Yeah, why do I have a reputation, Sunbar? I don't understand it.
Because you don't understand people. That's the problem.
I guess I am a little bit, insensitive. I guess.
Closeted.
I don't know.
Yes.
I try my best. I don't. It's never malicious, and it's never
Except
with
for
intent.
in chat, it appears to be.
Well, I'm trying to get a laugh. I mean,
Well, that's the problem. Why are you trying to get a laugh? You're not funny.
I am. Well, I think I'm.
Well, no one else does. So.
Oh, that hurts my feelings. So.
That's the problem. Stop trying to be funny.
Oh, okay. I won't be funny. Well, I mean, if I'm not funny, then I can't try to be funny because I'm not.
Yes, you can. You can try, but you can just keep failing.
Yeah. Well, so what am I being then if I'm not being funny?
An asshole.
Oh. Now I'm really getting hurt. Anyway. But yeah, so
you act like I'm joking. I'm telling the truth.
Oh, okay. Well, I hear you. I mean, I guess there is a special reason why I was the only one getting timed out by Testify in the trash.
You wrote some really weird ass shit when he started to time you out. So,
like what?
I don't know. It was weird.
Receipts or it didn't happen.
I don't care if you believe me. I just know it's true.
Well, like he would say things like he's going to include a rock for the wristband or whatever. It's like a rock as a giveaway, or maybe you have a crowdfund for a rock.
And then you write, I want it on my cock, and then you would be timed out. It's perfect.
No. I said the only reason why. No, I didn't. I said I would only want a rock if I could throw it at you. And then
Jack Stafford's here with the information. Yes, God King of Earth is no longer available.
Yeah. And then he would be like, "Oh, why is Well-Read threatening me with rocks?" from the chat. I'm like, why would you even take it that way? So, but to help clarify why I'm so hated and loathed, we have Cider to give us the true skinny.
Oh God, Cider, are you even conscious?
The spice must flow. The spice must flow.
Cider, why does everybody hate me?
I just told you the spice must flow. What?
I
Do I
like
have
your
to repeat
purple
myself?
eyes. That's very nice. It's nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
somebody else made a meme of me, and I am still beside myself on that. You know.
Well, it's pretty nice, actually. It's
Wait,
it's
wait. Are
appropriate.
you? Do you feel like there's another you beside you, or do you mean figuratively?
Well, no, like figuratively, it's a few more.
Well, I
of
mean, you're
these-
really hot. You might be really up on something. So I just wanted
Yeah,
to clarify.
not yet. Not. I haven't had enough spice since the boomers destroyed my spice harvester. I got a new one though. Geralt from Rivia dropped it off, spinner rims and all. But no, well, it's the spice. The spice must flow.
I'm the spice. Do you hear
No,
that,
no.
Sunbar? I'm the spice.
No, the spice. The spice that is in all things.
Hmm.
It must
It's-
flow.
I'm the source of all spice. So it flows from me.
I think we're getting a little carried away.
He tends to do that.
Okay,
But
fine.
I'm not
Whatever.
critiquing you on your
Chat etiquette.
exactly. I'm not that. I'm just more over like when we're talking in voice chat, you got like some snappy, pithy things to say, and then we're back here to Siskel and Ebert sometimes. And that's okay. Siskel and Ebert went on for a really, really, really long time. But every now and then it's nice to have a little sassy, well-read pop in here to deliver a couple of one-liners about Florida or something like that, you know, to remind Twitless where he is in the world.
Ooh la la, I can be sassy.
Yeah, see?
Hmm.
Where was that during this, huh? Where was that?
Well,
Probably clogging the spiced harvester.
I try to mix it up. I mean, I think the reviews though should be informative, more so than entertaining. I mean, well, not more so than entertaining, more so than quippy. Let's put
Do
it
you
that way.
remember Glenn Beck's entertainment and enlightenment before he became the Colonel Sanders fried chicken of the Bible?
Yeah. No, I mean, I
Yeah.
try. I do try. I like the trolling, and usually the chat fills that in, like they're dumping on us, so that
Yeah.
helps too.
But no
And
one was
again,
watching
it's-
tonight because Ethan's streaming. So
Yeah.
Well, also, fellas, it's post St. Patty's, so everybody's got to wipe out their 40s before Monday, so they can fill them back up again. You know.
True.
You know. So
Do you think they stack their 40s on their windowsill and call them dead soldiers after they're empty?
I mean, can you just think for a minute? You're driving down a street and you look over and like some dude who's riding with you, he's like your buddy or whatever, you're giving him a ride home from work, and he says, yeah, that place right there with the stack of dead soldiers in the windows. I mean, you know where that guy fucking lives forever. You are never going to forget where that guy fucking lives.
Yeah, I mean that's true. So that it would be something that would stand out if you're driving down the street.
Yeah. Do you fly or like somersault down the street? Or...
Oh, I usually crawl, you know.
Oh.
Everybody Loves Cthulhu says, well read. Can you go on Tim Pool or Joe Rogan and promote your show, please? Well, yeah, I mean, I'd be happy to.
Well,
Everybody Loves
hold
Cthulhu.
on. Are you gonna like do it before or after Tim Lim gets his weekly swatting?
Well, I'd like to be there
Tim
for the
Pool
swatting.
gets his weekly swatting.
Yeah. Now, see
That's what
what
you
I
meant to say.
see what I started, Sunbar.
No, you know it would be great, right? Okay. So,
Well, if Tim Lim ever gets swatted, they're gonna blame you now, Cider. So
Well,
just so you know.
Tim
Don't
Lim
blame me.
always Tim's constantly getting it because he's in a van now. All right.
Is he Big Daddy? Big Daddy streams from a van, doesn't he?
No.
No, you mean to say Tim Pool. Tim Pool constantly is getting swatted now.
I thought that's what he said was to go on the Tim Pool and Joe Rogan show. Isn't that what I heard?
Yeah, but you said Tim Lim.
Oh, well, Mr. Tim Lim, on behalf of me and the billions of spiced shit in my eyes right now that made me say dumb shit like that, I apologize profusely. That was
Yeah,
an entirely horrible mistake on my behalf, and I do not want anything like that to happen. I was attempting to make a joke on Mr. Pools expense.
Who does constantly get swatted recently.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. To clarify, Tim Pool gets swatted. Tim Lim, he
Makes
builds
money.
new bidets. So this is a post from Tim Lim on Twitter.
Oh, I see what you did there. Well read. Oh.
Yes, this is
Builds
what
segued
bidets.
into your boring ass Twitter feed.
Damn it! I work so hard at this, Sunbar. Validate me. But this is what Tim Lim is up to. This is what he envisions people's buttocks to appear like, and he's designing new bidet systems for them that just basically just spray water everywhere. Some of it ends up doing its job.
I don't get how that works with the Popeye song, but okay.
But that's not a butt.
What is it?
Well, it looks like two gourds stuffed into like a wetsuit.
It's Baby's got back.
It's
That's
impressive.
It is.
Now, this is Mr. Lim.
Yes, Mr. Lim this is his bidet.
I see why he sells so many comics. Heavens.
He's blended a bidet with a water fountain, basically.
Hold
Like,
on. That's not. No.
Yeah.
We don't. No, you can't do that.
Okay.
You can't get your fresh made cheeseburgers at the crematorium.
No, you cannot do that. But here he's saying that people should go use water fountains as bidets, and he's just going to bring it into your home.
Oh,
Yes.
because of public health crisis.
I guess. But okay, so here's the full image.
Oh, it's a pissing ass nipple. Neat.
It's Popeye refreshing himself.
Why did you say Popeye? It's pot pie.
Popeye.
There you go.
Yeah.
You said pup.
I said Pol Pot. But Popeye.
No, that's a different evil
Does he have the
dictator.
Infinity Gauntlet?
Yeah. He's in front of a gas station though here, Alon.
Yeah.
Dude, this is real?
This is real, yeah.
Did you see Wiggle's real picture earlier in the stream?
No, man. See, I'm on my phone, and I am. Yeah. So, like, it's really tiny. I had no idea this was real.
This is real. Yeah. This happened
Why?
in the world that we live in. You and I.
So wait, does this coincides with Popeye becoming a public domain character?
Public nuisance, maybe?
I mean, if you're, what was it? It wasn't Babu. Babu was a monkey on Power Rangers. Who was the Bruno?
Oh, I heard a beep. Are they taking you off life support side?
A beep? No, that was more spice being injected directly into the rear of my retina.
Are you also standing over a water fountain like Popeye right now?
No, I'm laying in a hospital room in northern Maine in pitch black. Excuse me, it's not pitch black. I'm being illuminated by wet Popeye butt cheeks.
They aren't
glow.
You think
dousing-
so? Do you think it's intentional to look like Popeye is wearing a thong?
I personally can't tell if he's wearing anything underneath there.
I like to think it's a thong. So
Yeah.
Oh.
He's going to the beach. He's going to have a gay old time.
You know, roadside America is something that needs
Wait, Twitless
revitalization.
posted. Oh.
Yeah, I blame this is all Twitless's fault, actually. So full disclosure, the reason why I know anything about this is because of Twitless. So going back
And
a
what's
little
that?
Oh, there's Frackoff. What did Frackoff say? Oh.
Nothing important.
bit. Frackoff, let's see what Frackoff had to say.
Like I said,
Frackoff has another thing going on. This is something Cecil has been tweeting out to people. And he's responding to that. So this is
that
the
one of those face mix things going on there.
yeah. This is the newest, hottest thing if you stand with Ukraine, apparently, because that's what it says here at the top. Hashtag stand with Ukraine. Bearded teenage Japanese girls anime things. I don't
But
know.
none of that is a Japanese girl.
I don't know. Like to me it's like it looks a little bit like it's from that kind of style. I don't know. That might be just me.
It might just be a weeb. Well read.
Yeah, weeb kind of thing. Exactly.
Okay, because you remember earlier I was having a little trouble. Remember I was explaining that like 60 frames per second spooks me out, and these spices that I have here to help me with the surgery pain, they make me see things at 60 frames per second. So I was wondering for a minute, am I seeing a real life drawing? Am I seeing a 2D drawing in real life because of the spice?
Yes, James Hayes. It's not Twitless. This is all on me.
This is like years old, well read. Everyone's seen this video by now.
Oh, this one? I haven't
Yeah.
seen this video. Have you ever seen crabs at 60 frames per second, Twitless?
Well, then clearly you have seen it because you're talking about it.
Well, I have seen it because I bookmarked it, but I did not see it previous to that.
It's just like your mom saying, "Oh, look at this Twitter, honey. Isn't it funny?"
I am not a boomer, and I am nobody's mom.
What, do like minions come out of the back or something and tell you they've had a hard week or what?
He hasn't seen it either, Sunbar. Let me show the video. You don't have to ruin all the fun.
This is more boomer than Ethan. How do you pull that off?
Leave us some fun. Maybe. Oh,
You
see,
can't even play it.
my Twitter refreshed. Okay, so here we go. This is what happens if you travel with crabs. You pack one, and you end up with a lot more by the time you reach your destination. So.
This is all the people trying to get away from well-read stream.
They got on a flight.
Well-read has crabs. It's now official.
Technically, they got on a luggage circulator. They did not make it to the plane.
Well, if you can ever find Delta, you can show him this video, but I'm sure he's seen it.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the gate.
Oh,
I mean,
maybe that too.
Those are big crabs, though. They look delicious. So.
Yeah, I think they're edible.
And on that note.
Oh, he's dead.
Oh, well, we killed him. I was going to say, though, that for some reason this channel says Lad Bible. Is this like one of the signs of the apocalypse? Crabs in the luggage? I'll take that as a yes.
Oh, did you really bookmark that horrible bathroom drawing from 2 years ago as well?
Yeah, I did. I don't get why the bathtub is extended.
Yeah, everyone talked about this 2 years ago. Yes.
Fine. I'll just die. Make you happy.
Well, there's your gay Superman. That can make you happy.
What about this? Does this make anyone happy? This is Marvel Girl and what they did with her powers. She went from being all elasticy to having lights, plasma fist.
So they literally just made it a big fist.
Huh. Yeah, but it looks like she's just standing there and extending her arm. Like there's
no, it looks like she's just standing there and there's a CGI effect.
Yeah, exactly. And her hair maybe brushes a little bit. Briefly.
Yeah, she's shaking her head a little. Yeah.
It's the most boring action sequence ever. I mean, she's completely unmotivated or not into it or whatever.
Read James Hayes' comment.
James Hayes, are you wishing death upon us all? As hard as it is to keep people around and on stream, you would think Well Read had cooties or something. I'm doing a better job than Oz used to do. Oz had no content when
and more people watched.
Well, he would have people come on and fight.
Yeah, people wanted to come on with Oz, but not with you.
Well, I mean, they felt bad for him because like he wasn't doing.
Yeah, no one feels bad for you. True.
Well, that's true. because apparently I'm really a really bad person in chat. Listen, Sunbar. Censorship is the child of fear and the father of ignorance. So you are
This sounds
now.
like a Star Wars prequel quote.
Well, I mean,
that was a horrible movie.
you are fathering fear and being the child of ignorance. Something.
Love leads to fear, and fear leads to hate, and hate leads to war, or whatever the hell Yoda said. Where you could just replace the order of the words and still make no sense.
Yeah, everything just means the same thing, basically. This was pretty cool. I do want to eventually review Meta Barons. Spirit Scar shared this. This was some images from that book. Yeah, I mean, hopefully.
Hey, look,
somebody's
it's Mr. Sterny Frownface. He found a new book to star in.
Oh, you're saying that this is where Kyle Ritter got his inspiration.
Well,
How
or
to
they
draw his
both do the
characters.
same artistic technique,
Yeah.
which Mike Miller could tell you about.
Everybody Loves Cthulhu says, well read, never give up, but cringe only works when Berserk Guts and Risey are also on and want to murder you.
That might work.
Well, Sunbar wants to murder me. I mean, come on. Somebody
I'd
wants to
rather
murder me.
have just someone else do it.
Yeah. Twitless says her stretching. Oh, he's talking about Miss Marvel. Her stretching would have been body horror, which would have gone against the image they wanted to portray, though it would have reinforced the body positivity narrative. And James Hayes says, to be frank, everyone thought the original Miss Marvel's body stretching big fist was a dumb power, so they tried to improve it to something people might think is cool or exciting.
I never knew how it was different from Mr. Fantastic, though, except for not as fun.
Well, except for like exaggerated like all the time. She would walk around with her fist big.
And she would never become all stringy like Mr. Fantastic would. So it's like she just makes a body part big for some reason, and that was it.
And I mean, isn't the whole motivation for the character just dumb to begin with? She saw Captain Marvel and she wanted to be a superhero, and then she became one. And she was happy.
It was the stupid Inhumans thing when they got rid of the X-Men because Marvel didn't have the X-Men movie rights or something, and so they tried to get rid of the X-Men and replace them with Inhumans.
Okay.
And then, like, essentially, there was something going around the planet that was turning everyone into Inhumans, which is like, how is this different than mutants? I don't know.
It all sounds like a big mess, as Twitless points out. I do have, I guess, some CG drama-ish stuff. There was a video.
Peregrine missed. Twitless actually paid attention. He must have liked it. It was really boring.
Yeah. I would agree. Twitless only likes boring things, I guess.
Didn't it make them go into cocoons first? Like they were insects or something weird like that?
I honestly, I have no idea.
I'm asking Twitless.
So this is a video I saw on Twitter. I think it's a few days old. Oh no, it's March 14th. It's been a while.
Old.
A week old. Yeah. I'm really like dated, you know. I don't I see the old drama and then I go, oh, this would be fun to talk about, and then I don't get a chance to talk about it until a week later. But yeah, I thought this was interesting. Like this person, he had a bad impression of CG and Ethan specifically. And then he decided to watch some of the streams on his own to clarify a bit of his misconceptions. And he came away convinced that he was informed incorrectly. And then he made a very sincere apology video for having ever believed what he was originally told. So I guess we could watch a few minutes of it if you're
That
curious.
doesn't sound like drama.
Well, I think the drama part is that the way it was received. Ethan was kind of just a little aloof about it. He's like, thanks, I guess. Because I guess there wasn't really much there wasn't really much that was uh, projected onto him by
Well,
this person having this opinion.
if you dislike Comicsgate and keep it to yourself, and then it's like, oh, I was wrong. Like, who would care that you were wrong if you didn't make a big stink about it?
Right. That's kind of the thing. But some other people seem to be very supportive of this person coming out and saying this. I mean, I was happy to hear the sentiments, but not necessarily in tune with the motivations. Like, it's nice when people go, oh, all these labels that get thrown around are incorrect. And I bothered to actually go and look into it a little bit and came away with the knowledge that it wasn't incorrect. So that is always good to see when people do actually do that. But it's just weird to have like a confessional for things that you didn't actually do other than in private. Anyway, I feel like I used way too many words to explain all of that.
It seemed like you were trying to get into what is Comicsgate argument again.
It's not what is Comicsgate, but honestly, it's a bit of like on Twitter with Mark Brooks and Donnie Cates, their kind of projection of it.
Cthulhu has a more interesting topic.
Okay. Well read. Do you think this might be your last year in CG? There's a sense that things are winding down, but it could be wrong. What do you think, Sunbar? Is this the last year for CG?
I don't think so. Although there are a number of projects that are not as strong as one might think. But then again, Shane Davis is stronger than you would have thought. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to say. CG has gone through like several transitions, and the one that it's in right now, I don't know, it's gone through endless filtration cycles. And right now it's just settled onto trying to do just a production side of things. It wants to have books. It wants to be able to get them out regularly. It wants people mainly interested in talking about the books, but I think for the most part, they don't do that much. Like on the streams, whenever you watch, they don't really talk about the things that happened in the previous book, what's going to be happening in the next books. It's still very much focused on what's going on in culture and in pop culture. So even though there's this emphasis on creators and wanting to put more books out, it still hasn't pivoted to really being strictly about the books. And then there isn't enough books coming out for it to really do that anyway, frankly. CG drama, there was the Wiggle Wiggle drama with Ethan welcoming him to the show in spite of Cecil's stringent objections until he got punked by EVS. Are you aware? You're aware of that whole debacle, Sunbar?
I just listened to Cecil so little in the past couple of years. It's like, okay, I don't really care.
Cecil did a nice spurg over it on the Jack Show.
Yeah, like I haven't watched the Jack Show in 2 years, so.
Yeah, see, so that's kind of what I meant, where it's like there's been a filtration process for drama in CG, and like if that's the drama that we have now, then is there really any drama at all?
Yeah, I mean, you can't really have drama with one side. Wiggle's like, I don't care. I'm not going to bring it up and attack you, so you don't have to like me. That's fine. At that point, what drama can be generated from that?
It almost felt like, drama where everybody just shrugged at the end of it and said, okay,
well, it's 2 years old at this point. It's like, yeah, we don't need to talk about it anymore. That was kind of everyone's sick of it. War Campaign's off doing their own thing. We don't need to worry about them anymore. I mean, occasionally Panboy will come in here and tell us stuff, but that's about as close as he gets to CG, except for maybe with Risey. It's like no one CG really cares about War Campaign one way or the other, I don't think.
Yeah. So yeah, I wouldn't say there is very much drama. In terms of content, it's merely just it's going through the articles of what's current, and in terms of product, it's I guess it's still just waiting for more product to be available. We have a lot of the small creators, I think, filling that space. It seems like for this show, like we never have a shortage of product to review or talk about.
I mean, if you want a book, there's plenty of books out there. But if you want it from like 4 people, then you might have to wait a while.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So
Although
it doesn't.
Ethan is kind of, obviously he's somewhat slow with the Cyberfrog mainline, but he's always got something out there, which I think is, I'm curious to see how this works out, because he's got more like hats, or he's got like his passbook or toys, and I think his audience really likes that. So for his audience, there's always something coming out from Ethan, and sometimes it's a comic book, sometimes it's something else. So I'm curious to see how well that works out, how well After Wreck Planet, what is it called, Red Extermination does. If he's really keyed in still, it should be over $1 million. If there's a drop off, then I guess we'll see it there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess longevity is the question here, and well,
But
so for
I
me,
think he does have his own. He has an audience that just buys Ethan and Cyberfrog stuff. That doesn't really care about the rest of the comics.
yeah.
Ecosphere, I guess.
Sorry, my stupid chair keeps creaking every time I shift.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just like but at which issue of Cyberfrog? Like you see with Graveyard Shift 4, there's been a drop off in backing relative to 3. 3 did gangbusters, and now 4 you're seeing kind of a downward trend.
Which I find interesting, because I thought 3 was the best of them yet. So I was like, well, why are less people backing 4? Because usually what happens with a sequel, it's the backing is pretty dependent on the previous issue, or if it's a movie, the previous movie. So I was like, that's interesting. Why is it less? Now, there's a couple of things. Man's got 2 campaigns running right now, which he's never done before. So maybe that might be part of it. I don't know.
I guess we could keep talking about comics, but this is actually an interesting topic. Cecil went after just some guy on Twitter. Just some guy wants to call a recent anti-grooming bill anti-gay and lobby over it, while Cecil sees the law as clearly anti-pedo.
That's your in Twidless state.
Yeah, it's a Florida thing. That's right.
Yep.
Are you aware of that whole law
Yeah.
being argued? What's your stance on it?
I don't really care.
Okay. Yeah. Doesn't affect your state. So, I unfollowed just some guy because
He said weird things like that gay choir singing about "we're coming for your kids" thing, right?
Yeah, he's been giving like a lot of really bizarre takes, and I'm just thinking like, okay, he seemed to be anti mainstream culture before, and now he feels a little bit more lockstep with them. Like some of the talking points that he uses are just, I don't know, it's weird to me. I got a little tired of listening to what sounded like really canned responses. So it's I just decided to unfollow him. The whole thing about like that bill, it's I mean, it's meant to be applied broadly. It's just meant to suggest that in school, educators are not supposed to be the ones who are instructing kids about these more intimate details on their lives. That should be coming from the family. So, like, if the family, has gay perspectives, or even like it's 2 moms or 2 dads, it doesn't address that at all. And like, they're not saying that they're going to take a kid that comes from that family structure and indoctrinate them or something to some other family structure.
Yeah, it's clearly what teachers are teaching to the classroom as a whole, not what any one person can say at school, right?
Yeah, it's just saying that kind of instruction is not meant for the school, where they're supposed to be focused on fundamentals, reading, writing, and arithmetic. and particularly at a certain age group. Like this is not. I think it.
I mean,
It
there's
ends.
always sex ed, but I think that there's like from what I recall, often it's fourth grade you start it, and then but usually it's middle school where you have like more in-depth kind of sex ed stuff.
Right. So this whole bill addresses age group younger than middle school, and I don't think avoiding those kinds of topics is a big deal, especially since now there's a trend for teachers to like talk about their personal private intimacies with their class. Like, for example, a straight teacher walking in and talking about their promiscuity and who they're
or even like a common thing. It's like, would you come in and tell your students I got divorced? That's really none of their business, right?
exactly, like you don't go and talk about your coupling with your class. Like that's your workplace. You wouldn't even bring it up at work. So why would you do it as a teacher in a classroom setting? But that's what's been happening. And so I think that's what that bill is meant to try to adjust or get back to fundamentals, basically.
I'm actually kind of interested in that show with Dean and Ray are apparently going to make a show together. I think that actually could put together a pretty decent show together.
Well, what's their content? I mean, yeah, I saw that where
It's
Dean
just,
was.
just standard YouTube drama, pop culture stuff. Because I mean, that's
So-
what Ray is interested in anyway, and I think Dean just doesn't want to talk about Comic Skate anymore, and Ray has no interest in Comic Skate either.
Then there is Dean and Vicky breaking up and fighting. Dean now does a show with Ray while Vicky hasn't been around so much and seems to have a judgment from Preston against her. Oh wow, I didn't even.
I
know
don't think Dean and Vicky are fighting. It's just Dean is not interested in continuing doing the Vicky stuff because they were on Tim Lim after they canned their show. I don't think they're like at odds with each other, just going their separate ways.
Ray asked Dean if he thought that Vicky was mad at him, and he said he hopes not. So, I mean, maybe they're just being civil on Tim Lim's stream, but maybe there are some hard feelings there. But yeah, so if they're just doing typical pop culture, or I guess YouTube culture content, I don't know. Wasn't that what Smug was doing for a while with the Pause Show? He pretty much built his following on just following what's happening on YouTube and YouTube celebrities.
I mean, it's more of like the Kiwi Farms, not just what's happening around, who's the cow of the week kind of thing. I think Dean and Ray would be more just pop culture kind of stuff in general, not necessarily people, let's laugh at this guy.
Well, I thought JDA does the low cow of the week content. Like he found that Patrick guy, and then
he focuses more on like actual literary sci-fi type people. Pause Show is like YouTube celebrity type shit.
Okay. And then Dean's thing is just going to be broader than that.
Yeah, I think it's just general pop culture. Probably some YouTube things as well. But
I mean, maybe they could find some.
I mean, I assume it's pretty much like Ray's show, but a little more structured with Dean there to guide it a little bit. That would be my guess. She said herself that Dean's much better at editing things than she is. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, best of luck to them. I don't know. It was I don't know how to put it. Like it's weird because there were all these little factions, right? And they all had their run. And the way things ended for a lot of them is just really there was whatever happened with Pangea, and then whatever happened with War Campaign, and whatever happened with Dean and Vicky and Smug's Discord, and just there's always like kind of a blow up, I guess, in the end. I mean, if they can go off and do other things outside of the groups that end up forming, I mean, hopefully it works out for them. But
I don't understand what James Hay is asking, because JDA regularly gets over 100 viewers now. I'd say he's actually growing his audience right now.
Yeah, he's just away. He's
Yeah, he's watching the tennis tournament, I guess.
yeah. But he's going to be back. Apparently, he's been able to capture a lot of the Liam streams. Liam will stream and then private it right away. And in some instances, he's having interesting, intimate moments occur on stream. And so he'll try to private it because privating it means it never happened. But of course, if somebody manages to download that stream before he does, it means that JDA will continue to have content for many months to come. And that seems to be the case. But we'll see.
I mean, JDA had a friendly powwow of Mike Miller and Ethan Van Sciver the other night. So
that was nice to see, but I think short-lived.
Yeah, I think they're fine being cordial with each other, but I'm sure they still don't like each other. So,
well, I mean, they're both doing their own thing. They've both grown their separate ways. I guess it's weird to expect anything to last exactly the way it is forever. Everything has to change and grow and morph accordingly. People need to find their own way. I was just thinking, like on this show, what we started a year ago almost now, or something like that. It's like 10 months, or it feels like a very long time.
You have a smaller audience than when you started. Good job.
Yeah, but it's a different thing. Like, it's not F off well read anymore. It's well read comics. And yeah, there's a smaller audience for non-drama content, but there's also longevity in that kind of format.
So you think?
Well, I mean, I just gave 3 examples where it wasn't the case, right? Like, if you're going to be mud raking, eventually you're going to sink to the bottom and get covered in all the mud that you dug up.
Is very drama free, and he's growing his audience. So
exactly,
you can do it. I just don't think you can do it.
Well, I don't intend to do it exclusively. I do like having the open call-ins. I do like people coming in and expressing unsanitized opinions. I don't want to be too protective in terms of what's expressed here, the thoughts being stated. I do like having a bit of more of a vigorous, open discussion.
Jack Stafford said it was interesting when Pan Boy came in and shared his thoughts on his world, I guess.
Yeah, but so I mean, there's interesting discussion, and then there's I don't know, what's the correlate to what's the non-correlate? What's the antithesis of interesting discussion?
This show right now.
I hate you, Sunbar. Everybody Loves Cthulhu says, ultimately, CG was a YouTube and Indiegogo matchup. If the YouTube side of things becomes stale, that might be it, unless new people are coming to CG at this late stage.
Yeah, but Ethan's like growing his audience again. He's got like 1,200, 1,400 people watching at a time. He was dipping below 1,000, but if you pay attention enough, usually right after Christmas, that's when streams do the worst. So then it picks up again around this time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, he has a lot of people coming in who I think are there for the product. And I think he's catering to that audience more so. But I mean, he does still, dip his toes, like having Wiggle on, for example. And having JDA on, and actually, yeah, well, maybe I take everything back, because also EFAPing that Vicky and Spectre.
That was hilarious.
That was, yeah. He didn't get through the whole thing.
I mean, it's drama, but it's not really, because just laughing at people and then forgetting about it the next day. So, yeah.
There's definitely content there. Like, he also even was bringing the Patrick videos onto his stream, when really that's a JDA thing. And he seems to like having lolcows to laugh at as well. I mean, I guess who doesn't? But
So I guess your boy Zach doesn't. I agree with James Hayes. His stuff is really hard to watch lately.
well,
I
is he
mean,
getting?
I think as soon as he stopped having regular comics he did, I've lost interest. I don't care about these world of comics or look at this tweet type stuff he does. It just doesn't interest me.
Then there is the controversy around your boy Zach. EVS EFAPed one of his streams and tore it apart. Others are jumping on your boy Zach for talking about doing a Ukraine war inspired comic. Many think that YBZ isn't the same guy we knew from 2017. He's tried to pivot, hasn't he? Like he wants to be more of a influencer, social media commentator, and then comic crowdfunder second. Am I getting that right, or am I off on my
I
assessment?
mean, he
there?
makes a lot of comic books. I think he still wants to do that. It's just not many people back these weird ideas he has. And I mean, the oddest idea really is not even the subject of the comic. It's like, I'm going to launch this for 1 week, tell nobody, and see how well it does. I'm like, what? Why? Why
Yeah.
is that a good idea? I don't understand it. Are you running an experiment? But what's the purpose of even knowing the answer to this experiment?
It's like just throw it up against the wall and see what sticks. Business plan.
I guess he wants to see, what if I was a nobody? How much money would I raise? I don't know.
That's a kind of business plan, I guess. Yeah.
I think it might not have been funded unless Ethan did his stream, like pushing it. So it just got over the wall at the last few hours.
Oh yeah, it's that recent book. It's called None of Your Business or something like that.
Mind your business.
Mind your business, and it's
which
the
I
end.
backed because I figured I have to. But
You're obligated.
I mean, it's Kelsey art, so at least I can enjoy that. But I always think it's like a shame. It's like a cook making this amazing meal and then not putting it in the oven. You know it's good, but it's not finished yet. It's like Kelsey drew it, but he hasn't colored it yet. Kelsey is a genius with colors, and it's not colored.
Is it going to be a black and white? Really?
Yes, just like Ballad of No.
Well, that's what confused me. So it's the end of that Thesophopy, whatever that's called, trilogy.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised he even followed through with that, because I thought that the last two were heavily derided.
I guess people like the Ballad of No. I don't know.
Did they?
I guess
I don't know.
Smug Pug, I guess, thought it was better. I was pretty indifferent on it. I kind of liked how bad the writing was in Pandemic. I took it as almost a comedy of errors, but the Ballad of No, I just thought was kind of boring.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, based on the comments from the last time we discussed it, I didn't think that he would continue with that series. Like, there's definitely other things he could be doing that would generate a lot more.
I'd be more excited if Renzo Rodriguez was drawing it and it was colored, because at least Pandemic looked really cool.
What are his collaborations like? Those seem to work. And in the case of Chuck Dixon, anyway, that seemed to be a pretty good product at the end of the day.
I liked it. Kriega liked it. I don't know if no one else really talked about it, so I guess JDA thought it was pretty bad. I haven't heard anyone else's opinion on Impossible Stars. So
yeah, JDA. Oh, sorry.
So I don't really know if people liked it or not overall.
JDA seemed to feel like he was phoning it in, or Chuck Dixon was phoning it in.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
But you said the ideas that were laid out in the story were interesting.
Yeah, there was some continuity error, although you wouldn't really get it unless you went back and it's like, wait a minute. So I don't think JDA was talking about that, but he might have been the dialogue, or I don't know what I didn't see his review, so I don't know what he disliked.
And then I am curious to see what comes out of our discussion about the latest Narzak collaboration next week.
Well, it definitely won't be the most disappointing of this year because I have no expectations for it.
You're that soured on any potential collaboration with Narwhal and Zach after 499?
I mean, not even that. It's just the description of the book did not sound interesting to me.
It's unusual. Yeah, I debated whether or not this is something I'm interested in. Sunbar definitely said continuity. I heard that too. Freudian slip there. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I can bring it up quickly, especially since we're going to talk about it next week. It might be interesting.
Are we doing this next week?
I'm trying to confirm.
Sunday? Oh,
Yes. Yeah.
with Matt C.
No, that's
Or
going to
gift?
be no.
Twitless?
Yes.
Oh boy.
Twitless, and I am trying to confirm crypto. Well, I shouldn't say because he probably would come in character, but I've ruined it. Yeah, I'm trying to confirm crypto for that. It's just he's been otherwise
Busy,
occupied.
yes. There's some
Yeah.
drama for you, James Hayes.
I mean, that's other drama that it's not really.
That's
Not
real
really.
world drama.
Well, it's not really drama. I mean, that's who cares.
Well, I mean,
That's-
I'm sure crypto cares.
He cares. Does anybody else?
Yeah, it's drama in his life. I don't know why you're being disagreeable.
Well, I'm not being disagreeable. I'm being disinterested.
Well, then you would just say I'm right in a bored tone, like, yeah, well read. Yeah, okay. Like that.
Well, I'm not as dismissive as you are. I try to still be amiable and affable. That's my most endearing qualities. That's how I get people to like me, like when I'm in the chat. What is the name of that book? Do you remember?
No, it's just another Zach book. There's too many books by Zach. I don't remember their names anymore.
You just blanked on them. Are they all pretty much the same, the way they read?
No, but they're weird, so.
Well, okay, so this is weird that we're going to talk about this, but I'll bring this up quickly.
You couldn't find the book, so we're going to talk about something else.
Well, we talked about this. So I just want to show it as I'm looking for the book. But so this is Mind Your Business.
Yes.
This is closed. This is fun.
I mean, the backers aren't actually that bad.
Yeah. I mean, he whatever fall off he had, it's not like he fell too far or fell that far.
Well, I mean, he had 12,000 backers on Jawbreaker. So he did fall a lot, but it's just still a lot more than other people.
Well, but this isn't a Jawbreakers book, so you'd expect it to do lower numbers. But yeah, I mean, he's still almost getting 1,000 people, like you said, which is pretty good.
In 7 days with no announcement in preparation for this.
And no in demand. But here's the synopsis for the book. An unfunny TikTok comedian helps a shoplifter finance his roommate's trip to Russia invaded Ukraine.
This sounds like a 90s comedy where it's like the description's horrible, but the movie's actually pretty funny.
Well, it depends on who the actors are, right?
Yeah, it's like, who are the actors? I don't know if I want to like this.
There are no actors here.
Well, I mean...
These are all stagehands.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know any of these characters.
That's the Ballad of No guy, whose name is No, I guess.
This is an elf, clearly.
That's No.
No, that's an elf. So you look at the pointy ears and the big
I want to tell Kelsey you made fun of his art.
Well, maybe that's intentional. Like he wanted him to look like an elf. I don't know. The Theosophy,
which is not the correct spelling of even that word. So I don't know how to pronounce that.
It's got an extra S in it. So here's one without the extra S.
It's Theosophy. That's what it is.
Yeah. Theosophy. Right.
that's the preview for this book.
Yeah. Heavy sigh. The team.
Yeah, there's what's her name? I don't remember her name. And no,
Right.
Clarissa. Okay.
Yeah. Quick
Shaved head
turnaround.
girl. Yeah.
Well, it's got a quick
That's a
turnaround.
Batman comic.
What is happening here? Batman has got some legs in this.
Well,
shot.
now that you're on this page, you can click on Zach's campaigns and find the book we actually are going to talk about.
Okay, let's attempt to do that. Richard Meyer. So he crowdfunded it, not Narwhal. I
Yeah,
guess.
this one isn't Narwhal. This is with Kelsey.
No, I meant this. This is the book we're going to talk about next week. Is This You? This
Right.
is his latest collaboration. Okay, so this was the description. I'm like,
Oh, I remember this book. Now it's coming back to me. Yeah.
Yeah,
I haven't
and
read it yet, but I remember the concept.
I haven't read it yet either. I'm going to before the review. It says an immortal deals with cancel culture.
Yeah. I want to read Mind Your Business now. That sounds more interesting.
I think I agree with you, actually. We should do a retrospective on the Theosophy.
I mean,
trilogy.
Narwhal's involved, so maybe he saves the concept. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I did page through it. I liked the grayscale. It did look pretty. The art looked pretty good from what I could see when I paged through Is This You?
Right. Well, I mean, some of these images are interesting. I'm at least curious what these characters are.
I'm glad I
Like
didn't
the-
see a Crayola box when I opened the pages. So
Oh, Hitler and Nazis. Oh my gosh. Really? And this is like a talk
Are
show.
you're not reviewing this book? Are you
I am.
reviewing it? Okay, good. I want you to trash it.
You want
Then
me
you'll
to
know
trash
how,
it?
then you'll know how it feels to do 499.
I liked 499.
Yeah, but now you
I mean,
know how I felt.
Well, I mean, I'm just going by the previews. I'll gladly trash the Theosophy books only because I have to say that ridiculous word every time I talk about them. But yeah, no, just I remember that one pandemic. We were going through the pages, and everything seemed awful there, other than the art.
And the bridge was right too.
Yeah. In that case, the audience was wrong.
Yeah, people are telling us we have to say it's wrong. It's like, I don't think it's wrong, actually.
Yeah.
And then Renzo had to come in and tweet and tell us it wasn't wrong.
See, that's the benefit of not having sanitized opinions on your show. You can tell the audience they're wrong sometimes. Oh, am I still on the... I'm still on the wrong campaign, aren't I? I'm not even
Yes.
showing...
That's
Is
why
This You?
I remembered it when you said the name, but yeah. No one's watching anymore. We've dropped the audience in half. We were boring, but now we're boring talking about Zach. So now no one wants to listen.
Okay, so here's the book I was talking about and not sharing the screen.
See,
Is This You?
that's he actually grew the backers. In 7 days, he grew the backers. So maybe Zach knows what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, exactly. Maybe there's something just wrong with us.
I guess so. He's proving us wrong.
They're growing backers, and we're talking to an audience of 3 people when we were talking to 5. So clearly, you and I are the ones who are not in the right here. Looking at his closed campaigns, I haven't heard of more than half of them. Right.
And then there's like a Jawbreakers one too. Not the Jawbreakers that he's really late on. The other Jawbreakers about Knife Hand.
Yeah, I backed that one. I still haven't gotten it. Oh, I didn't realize POD was a Narzak book. I think I have that.
That one was actually decent.
Okay. I mean,
If you like Twilight Zone type stuff, yeah.
I honestly think 499 is underappreciated because it's missing too much of what it needs to tell a complete story.
Well, what it needs is all the pages removed and a good story inserted. Right. You're right. It's missing. Yeah.
So if you staple like an old Claremont X-Men book in between,
that'd be great. Then. Yeah.
Then you'd have a decent comic. Okay. Yeah, I'd love to finish off actually talking about the Hickman X-Men at some point too.
it looked a lot better in the book than this. This stuff made me go, oh, I don't know. I think
Yeah.
Narwhal added grayscale to more of the stuff. So
This is what I was talking about earlier about
Hitler,
Hitler's in this. Yeah.
because he's like an ageless immortal, and someone's like, "Isn't this you in this picture with Hitler?" I think that's what the whole basis of the story is.
Discovered in a forest in Europe during World War II, Alistair Belmont is recruited by the Allied forces and used as a spy behind German lines. Okay, well, I mean that's not so bad.
Yeah, so it's not like he's an old man. He's an immortal, so he looks exactly the same.
Okay, yeah. Alistair is revealed to the world as the only living example of an immortal. He enjoys an easy life of celebrity over the ensuing decades. But with over 50,000 years of life, Alistair has a lot of past. Too much. Alistair has to deal with the threat to his legacy and possibly his very existence. Alistair is abandoned by almost everyone, except for his ancient tribe. Is This You is a story about inhumanity as viewed by those who witnessed humanity being born. Interesting. Well, so he's saying that basically cancel culture is the pinnacle of inhumanity throughout the entire period.
Inhumanity is Belmont. Humanity is what happens to him.
Yes. No, I understand. Well, no, you're saying...
Okay, yeah, I guess, yeah. It's their inhumanity to him because he's an immortal. Okay.
Yeah, yes. That cancel culture is the peak of inhumanity throughout all of human history. And that's why an immortal who witnessed all of human history would feel its significance.
Well, I guess we're reviewing this tomorrow to 3 people, or not tomorrow, next week. It feels like it's tomorrow already.
It's an appropriate audience number for this. And those who will still be there when humanity dies. Is This You is created by Narwhal plus Zach. They're shipping each other. A true artistic pairing, each contributing creatively 100% to the book, giving a total creative contribution of 200%.
I hope Zach isn't drawing at all. Maybe he's doing layouts. He can do layouts. I'll allow it.
I don't know what the meaning behind this. It's a beaver with like a mask or something.
Yeah, there is some explanation in 499, I think.
Well, and you can still get 499.
Oh, look, there it is. Oh, boy.
I want them to do a director's
Why don't you
cut.
back that? Oh, yeah, you can't. This is closed too, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I have the book already, so I don't need to back it. But I want them to do a director's cut of 499. I want them to take another stab at it.
It's going to be the Snyder's cut all over again.
Yeah. This needs to be the Snyder's cut of CG.
Man, can you imagine if the whole book was colored like the cover? I guess it'd be better slightly, yeah.
Exactly. Recolor it, add in more pages, flesh out the story. Give us the book that this was always intended to be. So, and payment on delivery.
People are shipping you and Risey right now.
I feel like Risey gets shipped with everybody. Where is that being said?
This is payment on delivery you're looking at.
Yeah. I enjoyed their weird bromance. There's no reason why Risey should like Well Read, but he does. Risey, okay, where are they shipping me? Like, I want to know what the name is for us being shipped.
No, I just meant Cthulhu's comment and others.
You found out my secret reason for watching Well Read streams, the hope of Risey. The Risey rises. Unless he had too much to drink the day before.
Maybe he's upset you had Panboy on.
No. I've talked to Risey. We're good.
He's probably just drunk or something.
He's busy. I got an invite into his Discord. I'm in there now.
He has a Discord?
Yeah. Apparently the death of Legion of the Damned spawned numerous Discords. I got invites to 2 since it went defunct.
And the Legion of the Damned was spawned from the Exodus from the Pangea Discord.
No, it popularized from that, but it existed before. It was meant to be the new Moxbot, is the way that Pug described it to me back when I used to talk to him. And so it's not surprising it ended the way that it did, but yeah. Dude, the book could be about overcooking ham and cheese, hot pockets with a weird line. Read it before review. Okay.
I guess he's saying we actually have to read it even if we don't want to.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the point of, I guess, doing a review show, is that sometimes you have to review books that you don't necessarily want to.
Like White Lily.
Yeah, like White Lily. Like I
never would have seen the best I've read in comics, though, with the Baba Yaga, though, so you never know.
Okay, well, I guess there is some redemption for having to do that, but still. It was weird that was, I think, the second thing that we ever reviewed.
Yes.
So
it's because Preston really wanted you to review it, and multiple people asked, but for some reason you thought, let's do what Preston wants.
No, I mean, okay, so that was Smug who wanted to review it. Preston asked, and Smug was like, we should do this. And I'm like, oh, well, okay. And then he gave the PDFs. So I kind of just went with his suggestion on that. I wasn't planning on taking Preston's request.
It depends on the book. Some of them were decent. I don't remember which art I liked the best. I think there are some I sort of like, but I didn't think it was ever great in any of the issues.
No. I don't know.
None of it was horrible, but
that was definitely a bizarre series to review. But
it was especially bizarre when the main character died, and then you had a whole issue on her supposed girlfriend. I was like, what?
The burden that we bear reviewing some of these books. Sunbar, do you ever enjoy being a comic reviewer?
No.
Yeah.
I just wanted to review Xenotype because no one was talking about it.
Why are you and Smug the only two people that I know who actually enjoyed that book?
Kriega liked it as well.
Okay. Everybody else loathes it. I mean, is it because it's a manga style and all of you
think
read manga?
so, because I haven't seen someone that likes manga then say, I also dislike this book.
Oh, okay. That makes sense then.
There may be some people, but I haven't seen it. I mean, Ethan definitely dislikes it because it's manga. That was very clear when he came on and gave his impromptu review.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was debating reading it just because I've heard so much negativity, and I'm like, I really need to question the opinion of Smug and Sunbar here, because
now the things Kriega likes it probably are the things he says are things that make people probably dislike it.
I see. So it's the
Cthulhu has it. I think Cthulhu is correct.
Xenotype looked good. Take away the Liam aspect, and it might be judged fair. Meaning, because Liam is a Spurg.
Yeah. I think that clouds a lot of people's views on it, but
I see.
I mean, we got a lot of heat for how good the review was the same night we did it.
Yeah, so you think it's because of the lack of objectivity reading that book?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, some people just don't like manga, so.
Okay, that could be true too.
Hey, you lost 2 subscribers tonight. Good job.
I don't understand what I'm doing wrong here. Anyway, what was I going to say? So I've seen images of that villain.
I mean, it's goofy looking, but it's clearly homage to Frieza. Frieza looks weird, so, and Frieza's one of the most popular manga of all time. So, Dragon Ball Z, because you don't know about it. So.
No, not a big Dragon Ball Z fan.
Have you heard of Frieza? Do you know Frieza?
I have no idea what Frieza is. What is that?
Never mind.
I want to know who unsubscribed. This is hurting my feelings. 2 in one night. Jeez. What did I say? Did I say something controversial again? Am I in the doghouse once again, Sunbar, for things?
Yeah, see what James Hayes says? That is true in a sense, but it's true of almost all manga. So
The art was too hit or miss in Xenotype. It was jarring. Some panels would be fantastically detailed, where others were trimmed down to narwhal-like.
welcome to manga.
Yeah. And welcome to narwhal-like, a new terminology in art.
Some people don't like narwhal, but
I like narwhal.
it is definitely consistent. Although narwhal does have a couple styles. If you read all of his stuff, you'll notice that.
Yeah, I don't think it is consistent. No.
I actually didn't like the coloring. Sometimes I think the coloring added to it, but I think a lot of times it actually made it worse.
I feel that way about some certain books as well. Sometimes I just want them to be in the original inks.
Oh, you're a
no coloring.
GT man? Well read? I didn't know that.
Wellred prefers the superior Dragon Ball GT over Z. He felt Toriyama sucked.
You don't even know who Toriyama is, do you?
Well, he sucked. I don't need to know who he is. Let him stay unknown.
I bet even Liam Gray knows who Toriyama is.
Well, I'm sure he knows his whole backstory too. I'm thinking Liam is a pretty huge weeb. I mean,
yeah, he seems more like an anime type of person, but obviously he would know who Toriyama is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, knowing that he's a weeb is enough reason to not like him, I guess. Speaking of weebs, though, I did see something interesting yesterday. So somebody who's been reveling in the downfall of Vicky is Yellow Flash. It's been posting on Twitter job recommendations for her to help with her legal fund. And he did a stream yesterday. He got a little drunk.
Really?
Well, I mean, is that usual or unusual for him? I don't.
You don't know anything, do you?
No, not really. I mean, I have a life off the internet, kind of, I think. Yeah, or maybe I just have very short-term memory. But anyway, so he got very drunk, and he announced to everybody how much he hates white women. He blamed white women for all problems in Western society because they are the ones who have adopted extreme leftism, cancel culture, all of the radical sentiments that have now eroded Western culture.
Well, at least he's stuck with white. That's good. Otherwise, he could be in much bigger trouble.
Yeah, well, I mean, the panel, a lot of them disagreed, particularly Tug. He didn't like the generalization of all white women, and then he would try to couch it by saying, "No,
right," because Tug is married to a white woman, so he's like, "White women aren't all bad."
Yeah, I'd imagine some of them must be married to white women. Some of them probably white men, but white women otherwise. He brought in Nina, I think her name is, or the one she's got kind of curly brown hair.
I have no clue. Wow. I don't know anything about the fandom menace, so
they're not even fandom menace. They're like they're weeb wars, aren't they?
Oh,
they care about. They care about
I know even less about that.
Yeah. So yeah, that was. I mean, that was interesting because like he would go leftist white woman, and then he'd go, but I don't like white women in general. So I'm guessing I think he is married. I think he has kids. I'm guessing his wife is not white, and I'm guessing he loathes white women.
I seem to recall people saying he's divorced, but I have no clue. I don't know that, so I'm not going to state that as fact.
What's your opinion on white women? Yay or nay?
Well, they're better than you.
But if I told you I was a white woman?
They're still better than you.
So they haven't accepted me?
Damn. Who would?
Well, maybe if I join a swim team, then I can win all the medals and I'll be the greatest white woman of all time.
Oh, you think Yellow Flash is not white, Jack Stafford? Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I've seen pictures of him on panels. I mean, the parts of him that are exposed look pretty white to me. And I mean,
Maybe he's like JDA. JDA looks white, but he says he's not white. So,
well, and I almost thought that Yellow Flash was double white because like there was more white on him than other white people, if you know what I mean.
so he's a platinum blonde. What?
Yeah, he's sterling. He shines when you look at him, blinds you. James A says, "White woman. I wanted an Ukrainian bride. Damn you, Putin." I heard a sad story. I don't know if this is worth telling about Ukraine.
No,
Apparently,
we don't want to hear about Ukraine.
well, it's not political. It's humanitarian. But apparently, Ukraine has an industry for surrogate mothers. And because of all the activities going on there right now, there's a lot of orphanages that have filled up, makeshift orphanages, because people are not able to retrieve their children from their surrogates. So I thought that was pretty sad that that's occurring there. So those are white women that I think Yellow Flash should have a little sympathy for. Jack Stafford says, I was thinking he was like JDA. Yeah. So like loud and
A comic
internet.
artist.
And a comic art and a comic writer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Opinionated and, feisty. JDA is like, he claims he's like South American, but I think he's of Spanish descent.
I
if I'm
think
not
he's
mistaken.
Spanish. Yes.
Yeah. And like South Americans do not consider Spanish to be a member of their tribe. They usually say that they're more
Latin
white.
Americans. Yes. They don't
Yes.
consider them that.
Am I not using the politically appropriate terms? Am I adding to my reputation right now, Sunbar? Giving people a reason to hate me.
I don't know.
Everybody Loves Cthulhu says, how does well-read make a sexy subject like Ukrainian woman and make it profoundly sad?
I don't really understand it. So Ukrainian women have others surrogate mother for them? Wow.
No, the Ukrainians are paid to be surrogates.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. That makes sense because they're a poorer nation.
Yes. And an exploited one as well.
Yeah. And
so
yes, the women die and the children are stuck in Ukraine, is what you're saying?
No, I mean, these women have these children that are not theirs.
So they like birth them and leave, but then they can't get the children out. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So the orphanages fill with these children that are waiting for their adoptive parents to come retrieve them. Anyway. War makes for great YouTube content. Very uplifting and pleasant and jovial. So should talk more about it. Or we could talk about other Narwhal and your boy Zach collaborations.
I don't think there are anymore.
Oh.
At least not yet.
I mean, maybe something in the future. They have to do a trilogy, I think. Oh, well, they kind of did. Yeah, POD is a short one. Anyway, I think we're winding down. Let's say
I'm leaving.
Yep. All right. Well, have a good night. Since I'm here alone, you give me a minute, I'll clear my throat. I used to always get a request from KSSS, whose absence is noted, and we're remiss to mention it. But unfortunately, even though he's not here to request it, I would like to do a poetry reading, which usually he wants me to do, and I never have an opportunity because often I'm not alone on these streams to chat with you one-on-one, shall we say. But usually KSSS asks for a reading of Goodnight Moon to close out the stream with, and I'm happy to do that. Even though he's not here, he can catch it on replay, and this is for him. So give me one more second. I need a glass of water. My voice is starting to crack, and I'll close us out with a reading of Goodnight Moon. There. I'm a new man. So quickly check in with the chat. Jack Stafford points out that KSSS will be soundly beaten for not being here. Oh, I'm sorry. Drank the water too quickly. For the time I got to read Goodnight Moon to the chat. Everybody Loves Cthulhu points out that I do not need to do that, but people love it when I do that. And James Hayes says, "Okay, everyone, have a great day." Well, I'm sorry that this is content killer, but yeah, this is for KSSS, and it's something that I've done numerous times. So I had the impression that people did enjoy it. But I will do one more reading and see how that goes. Oh, I can't seem to get my throat to quite recover. But anyway, let's give this a shot and see how it goes. Goodnight Moon. There's a nail in the door, and there's glass on the lawn, tacks on the floor, and the TV is on. And I always sleep with my guns when you're gone. There's a blade by my bed and a phone in my hand, a dog on the door, and some cash on the nightstand. When I'm all alone, the dreaming stops, and I just can't stand. What should I do? I'm just a little baby. What if the lights go out? And maybe. And then the wind just starts to moan. Outside the door, he followed me home. Now, good night, moon. I want the sun. If it's not here soon, I might be done. No, it won't be too soon till I say, good night, moon. There's a shark in the pool and a witch in the tree, a crazy old neighbor, and he's been watching me. And there's footsteps loud and strong coming down the hall. Something's under the bed. Now it's out in the hedge. There's a big black crow sitting on my window ledge. And I hear something scratching through the wall. Oh, what should I do? I'm just a little baby. What if the lights go out? And maybe. I just hate to be all alone outside the door. He followed me home. Now, good night, moon. I want the sun. If it's not here soon, I might be done. No, it won't be too soon till I say, good night, moon. While you're up so high, how can you save me when the dark comes here tonight to take me up to my front walk and into bed where it kisses my face and eats my head? What should I do? I'm just a little baby. What if the lights go out? And maybe. And then the wind just starts to moan. Outside the door, he followed me home. Now, good night, moon. I want the sun. If it's not here soon, I might be done. No, it won't be too soon till I say, good night, moon. No, it won't be too soon till I say, good night, moon. All right, everybody, that's for KSSS and anybody else who enjoys that in the chat. Jack Stafford was quite pleased. So thank you very much, Jack. I always appreciate that. And with that, I'll close out. So for next week, it's Is This You? The last Narwhal collaboration. During this week, I might try to schedule something either Tuesday or Thursday. There's a couple of books that I've been considering doing. It'd be good to get back to doing a mainstream book. They're always fun because we get to laugh at them. And that's a possibility. So stay tuned. Hopefully that's coming up. And I will see you all very soon. Have a great night. Thank you very much, Jack. And I will see all of you later. Playing us out One moment. Let me find my outro music. And here we go.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
What's the problem?
I think you know what the problem is just as well as I do.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
What's the problem?
I think you know what the problem is just as well as I do.
What's the problem? What's the problem? What's the problem? What's the problem? What's the problem?
I think you know what the problem is just as well as I do.